Okay, greetings, brothers and sisters. So I'm doing an introduction here. This is Wednesday, December 10th. So I just put this video up. It's supposed to go up here December 11th, and it was scheduled for tomorrow at 8 a.m. I'm going to move that to unlisted, and this video will be jumped by the video I'm making right now. This video was supposed to be up tomorrow, but Candace Owens just kneecapped. This whole thing is a mess, and you're going to see it as we go into this video. Candace Owens was just a complete, disaster on Monday, but then Erika Kirk went out and just destroyed herself. This video is called TP USK Making Heaven Crowded with Twinks and Nano Bible's Ticket to Heaven. It is a funny video. This one's funny. I was pretty happy with the video. Most of the whole thing is just comedy. And so I was happy to have a light video. But this other stuff's funny too. So this is all going to be funny. But anyways, so just so you know, we're going to get into this. Candace Owens said a lot of weird shit on Monday, which I'll show you in a second. And then Erika Kirk went on a series of interviews, and I covered most of them except the one that Candace Owens was just covering now, and she went all in, and so that's kind of great. And so we've been waiting for these guys. They've been circling the fire. They've been, doing some kind of dance without having to go at each other, and now they have, so that's all finally out in the open. All right, let's get into the other stuff here. Okay, greetings, brothers and sisters. Today is Wednesday, I believe it is the 10th of December. It is the 10th of December. Fucking nailed it. I started watching this last night. Erika Kirk is on 3 Fox News interviews pitching her dead husband's book. TPUSK is falling apart. And Candace Owens is clearly trolling her own audience at this point. I mean, has been all along, but it's clear. It's just right there in your face. It's kind of hilarious. She says things. Well, I saw this video come out, or I saw it was about to come out, and I looked at it on my phone, and there was a description, and I took a screenshot of the description, but I didn't have to because she says it right here at the beginning of the video.
Just a quick turnaround to go first to Korea for a couple of days and then off to Japan. And honestly, if I was a conspiracy theorist, and I kind of am one, I might think at this stage that the timing of that trip might have been intentional because something was going on back home that they didn't want him to see. Well,
all right. So that's not what. This is it right here.
What I'm about to tell you guys today is going to positively blow your mind. I just cannot see how this would lead to anything other than a full confession from the government about the military's involvement in his assassination.
Okay, so that's never going to fucking happen, right? And she's going to pitch this thing with no fucking real evidence. It's another one of these outlandish tales, kind of blows the whole red plane, blue plane away, which has just disappeared now, right? It'll come back around. Every once in a while comes back and fertilizes and waters one of these non-provable theories. As she takes her viewers down these fucking, these fantasy trips down the rabbit hole. But that's not going to happen, right? And so I'm going to get back to this. I'm going to play that again. But let's go forward. After she tells her whole tale, which I'm going to get into, I'll show you clips of it, and I'll give you a crib notes because we don't have to listen to her for 30 minutes, to go down this fucking rabbit hole of something that she has zero proof of, zero fucking right. And she invokes God and prayer and all this stuff into it, and let's go forward here. So she wrote that down as a description of the video. That I can only imagine that this is going to lead to a full confession from the government, right? And their involvement, the military's involvement in Charlie Kirk's assassination. That the American military is going to admit to that they offed Charlie Kirk, right? So, this is what she says at the end of her spiel
and I will obviously make that happen and much more in the coming days. I don't expect the feds to reach out. I don't expect them to be interested in this angle or this potential meeting that I think they probably already knew about.
Yeah, so how are they going to confess to it? What are you talking about? Like, why would you tell your audience this is going to lead to a full confession? Because you never bring resolution, right? I don't, and I haven't followed her other stories or these things, but I see how she works here. One of the things that people like or don't, I wouldn't say like, when you had that show Lost, and I covered this extensively. There was this thing that happened when I was a kid. There was a show called Dallas. Was it Dallas? Yeah. And there was the villain of the show, J.R. Ewing, was, he was sort of the main energy in the show, right? He was like the one bad guy, and most of the other people were, a few other people were, a little bit bad. But he was the villain. And he got shot at the end of one season. And the whole summer was who shot JR. It was going to be this major, reveal come the, September. Like you had the end of the season. This is how TV used to work. And you had these things called cliffhangers. And what people want mentally is closure. They want resolution, right? They want, to just understand the story, whatever it might be. And she's even going to talk about this by this new character she's introduced named Harry. She's introducing a character named Harry into her fucking bullshit narratives now. And, he wants resolution, right? People want resolution. People want to know what happened, why it happened, all these things. And you never fucking get it, right? But in TV shows and movies, they know that you want something like that. That's why that show Lost was so successful, because they would solve one mystery and then give you three more. And then people would talk about it around the water cooler, this whole thing. People are fans. And they speculate and they come up with fan theories and all these things. And that's what the truth community has become, right? It's become just like a series of lost type of narratives and whatever it is that never get any resolution because they're never going to get any resolution, right? And she is kind of an expert at introducing these bizarre things. And, because everyone kind of knows that our government lies and the media lies, all these things are, in some ways believable. And she can come in with, there might have been some Egyptian planes in the area. I mean, I don't know if there are or not. I don't give a shit because I'm not looking for resolution. I know what I need to know about the system. I know what I need to know about all these people. I don't need any of that shit, right? That's why I don't cover these things like these other people. But they string their audience along, and she's an expert at it. She's a master at it. So let's go back. I'm going to show you the beginning of this thing, and then I'll show you certain clips of it. The big reveals, and the big reveals are almost nothing, right? Like there's, if any of this, if everything she says here is true, if this guy's story that she has, it's always some third-person story that she can't really verify. And then they just, and then she sends her little cronies out, like she's the new QAnon, right? Like, how the QAnon would send his little, junior detectives. They go to get their little cereal boxes and get their junior detective badges for QAnon. And they go out. He goes, I need your help. We got to fight the deep state together. She's capitalized on that fucking need for these people to participate in this imaginary fucking, fight against a deep state that is, it's the whole state, right? It's the whole government. It's the whole economic system. It's the whole media. It's the whole everything. There's not a bunch of bad actors and a bunch of good guys, and you are on a team with the good guys, and us are the good guys, and Trump and John Kennedy Jr. and all going to come out together, and we're going to fucking win this thing. It's just fucking not happening, right? And your involvement, she gets people to go down these rabbit holes, and they invariably find something that has some kind of correlation to what she's saying, and then they bring it into the tip line, or she just makes up more shit. And then they just keep on going down, and there's no resolution because the whole thing's bullshit, right? And so she's even saying it. Like, why would you say, the only thing I can consider this is going to lead to a full confession? Let's go back to that. And then say, I don't think the feds are interested in this at all. Of course they're not. They don't confess. Let's go back to it.
Today is going to positively blow your mind.
No, it's not. It didn't blow my mind, Candace. I mean, guy, blow my mind the fact that you're pitching this shit, right?
I just cannot see how this would lead to anything other than a full confession from the government about the military's involvement in his assassination, but I'm just going to deliver the facts and see where they land.
They're not facts. There's no facts here. Zero fucking facts. She's not, I mean, the fact is that somebody contacted her, and the fact is that they gave some, what could be a true story, but there's no evidence to support it, right? No evidence to support any of it. It's just somebody telling a story that she herself could have made up, right? So this is, she talks about how she loves to go after liars and she doesn't like to lie, but this is just calling this thing facts is an out and out lie, and saying that this could only lead to a confession by the federal government that they were involved in the assassination of Charlie Kirk will never fucking happen. That the army and the military is killing American citizens, that's like a martial law confession, but they don't need to confess, right? Like, you can prove it without a shadow of a doubt. And all the media could cover it, and they're still not going to confess. They don't confess to shit like this, right? They may blame one person, but they're never... You think the government's going to confess? Why would they fucking ever confess? So there's a couple of things here, right? The first one is... well, let me switch over to voiceover because I want to... or maybe I'll just put this whole beginning of the video into a journey series. And so the first part to this is people don't confess these things because they don't even know why they do them. Like, that's part of it. Like, part of it is they just won't confess. Like, if something's going to take down the system, they can't, the military can't say, hey, yeah, we whacked Charlie Kirk. And why would they fucking do that? Like, what leverage do you have to make them to choke a fucking confession out of the U.S. fucking military and Donald Trump, who doesn't even fire guys who are like murdering fucking people in broad daylight, murdering people in Venezuela and other places. I just saw, the news this morning, Joe, they were covering how that alligator Alcatraz all these people are being abused there. They don't admit to shit. The government doesn't admit to things. They don't. And why would they? They don't have to. When they do admit to things, it's, more or less contrived, and it's, the whole thing, like this whole, whatever it is, because she's going to bring up Iran-Contra, and they didn't even really admit to that, right? Bill Clinton didn't admit to the Monica Lewinsky thing. He didn't admit to it. Like, everyone knew it's true. He never admitted to it, right? And so, like, not in a real way. They just deflect, and they just, whatever it is. And so they always leave some doubt. My brother said, when I finally realized he was a cheater, and I talked about this in a recent voiceover. So my brother was cheating on his wife for years. And he said to me that if his wife walked in on him when he was banging some other woman, he was pulling his dick out of her, was the exact phrase he used. And his wife saw him, and she said, whatever she said, his wife said that. And he said, what do you mean, what girl? What are you talking about? You're fucking crazy. Like, he would gaslight her and pretend there was no woman there. Like, he'd get, like, aggressive and, like, threatening, right? And I was like, that's pretty fucked, bro. But that's, like, how people fucking roll like this, right? They just, And so there's the part that they don't have to confess. They never will confess. And if you're waiting for a confession, which she always is, she's like, if we get enough evidence, we'll get a confession out of them. Fuck you talking about? Like, you think this is a Scooby-Doo fucking mystery? You think you're Velma? Like, what the fuck is this going on? Like, it's just ridiculous. It's silly. They're not going to fucking get a confession out of it. It's fucking dopey. And you know better, and you're stringing your audience along, because what you're really saying is that we're never going to be able to do anything about Charlie Kirk's assassination other than speculate and throw shade on people who probably, a lot of them, deserve it anyway. But we're never going to be able to get the truth out because you're not even looking for the truth. And again, this is her, everybody look at me. I mean, the fact that her show is named Candace, it's me, it's Candace, I'm the princess, Everybody look at me, me. People are one name, Oprah, and, whatever these various shows are that are, one name show, right? This, me, everybody, me, it's me, wanting to be seen, want to be, the number one podcast, whatever it is, right? But, she's misleading her audience. because they're not going to fucking tell you. The other thing is what people don't understand, and this is very important to, understanding human psychology. When people do wrong things, they don't own it even inside themselves. And they often don't know why they do things, right? Because I've talked about some scars before. Inner compulsions. Like you ask a person why they drink, an alcoholic, and oftentimes they really can't tell you. Well, I had a hard day at work, or, so this happened here. But it's like, oh, we won the Super Bowl, so I was happy, so I drank. Oh, my boss yelled at me, so I'm sad, so I drank. And they don't know why they do it. They don't know why they do it, so they can't stop it because they don't know why. And they don't want to know why. And when you ask people, so this is part of what I did. I worked with teenage sex offenders. And, a big part of the program was them understanding their assault cycle and the things that they went through, the internal process that they went through to end up doing things like that, right? And first of all, they're ashamed and embarrassed because they know they're the piece of shit of the world. That prisons, with all the prisoners, the ones that are sex offenders are the ones that are on the bottom. Like they're of all the fucking piece of shit people in prison, criminals, they're the ones that are, that everyone looks at worse. They're the dregs of society. And, so first of all, they don't even want to admit that they did it to themselves. Like they do these things, but it's like they go into some, disassociative type situation. And so they don't, they even know what they're doing or why they're doing it, right? And so, and that's with most crime. There's always rationalizations. There's always these things. But, in that, they don't even know why they do things in the first place. And psychology tries to trace it back to some trauma that happened. And yeah, sure, if you were sexually abused as a kid, you're traumatized, that's going to lead to this. That's where you learn these behaviors. But without the knowledge of some scars and past lives, and also, there are etheric beings and your soul that makes you do things and have thoughts that aren't yours. Like a lot of times, inventions and things that people get is channeled information that comes from etheric beings and higher developed souls and things. Like there's things out there that, we understand how suggestion works and mind manipulation works and mind control works. But at etheric level, there are souls that can intercommune with you and cohabitate with your body. You can come in contact with, just in terms of human life, like human souls, but also you hear other people's thoughts and there is extrasensory perception and things like that, right? And so with all those things going on, people don't know why they do things. And when they do something wrong, they don't want to talk about it. They don't want, when you have to pull a confession out of somebody and pressure them into it, people don't like to confess. Sometimes it's a big relief for them, and they're like, oh yeah, I just wanted to say these things. But a lot of times those people aren't really as guilty as they think they are, right? The people that really do feel remorse and things like that, oftentimes they over confess, right? And so you're never going to get the truth because people don't know why they do things. The controllers don't know why they do things. Most people don't understand why they get up in the morning and why they go through their routines. They're just going in autopilot. People aren't even making choices that they think they're making. You do things because you have to do things. A lot of things are based in compulsion. And so when you have an evil system that does things in a demonic way, and people are getting orders from other people, they just do things because this is my job. I don't know. This is what I'm supposed to do. If I don't do it, someone else will. This kind of thing. And so you're not going to get confessions because even if you did, it wouldn't be satisfying because the answer would be, I don't know why we did this, right? I don't really know why you could give us some superficial reasons, but deep down they don't know why they killed Charlie Kirk or whatever it might be. And so it's never going to happen. And you're never going to get any resolution because even if they tell you, there's always a different, a deeper reason. There's a spiritual reason for everything, and there's a divine plan. And almost nobody can penetrate to that level and has no interest in doing so. So, this whole thing is illusionary. Life on planet Earth is illusionary. You're trying to make sense of an illusionary world that's full of liars and grifters, right?
I am just going to tell you guys exactly how everything came about, everything that I'm about to deliver to you. Yesterday, was a holy day of obligation in the Catholic Church. It was
Okay, so first of all, you know, when you do your religion, and there's spiritual people in the Catholic Church, there's spiritual Catholics, there's spiritual people in every religion, like true seekers of God, people who have a relationship with God. But they're hampered by their shitty system, like a system that's not designed to connect you to God. Like they would do so much better if they weren't. The system is actually a hindrance, right? But either way, it's a weird thing. Someone wrote a comment about how it's a weird thing to go from wherever she was before to be a Catholic. You know, I grew up as a Catholic, and I had good experiences. No pedophile priests. You know, my mom was really involved with the church. And my mom, you know, went and did these charismatic prayer meetings, and we had these nuns at our houses, and there's people, you know, and I'm grateful for all that shit. Like I was doing drugs at the time, or before that I wasn't, but, you know, I went to some of the things with my mom. I was kind of interested in God a lot when I was like 12 or 13 and 14 years old. I started smoking pot, you know, and whatever, partly because I caught my parents lying, and I was, especially my mom, and I was like, you know, what the fuck, you know, obvious lie. I mean, it was bad. Like, and I'm confronting him with it, and like, you know, it's just stupid. Like, fucking, and involved. There was these kids. You know, my parents must have been talking about these other kids, right? My parents were talking about shit that was said at these prayer meetings, and embarrassing things that their parents were saying about these other kids. These kids would come up and hang out with me upstairs, and my parents would be down with their parents downstairs. And sometimes there'd be like 14 kids there, right? Sometimes I'd hang out with them. Sometimes I'd just do my own thing, right? Like, you know, but they would come up and watch TV, or we would talk or whatever. And they were saying shit about the kids that I'm like, you guys don't talk about me like with these people, right? You know, like, and my parents like, no, we never talked about it. We never say anything about you, right? And then the kids said some shit to me like that, you know, I whatever it was kind of personal stuff, and I was like, really, like, you know, like, and so I confronted my parents about it, and they were just like staring, like fucking, like, you know, oh, we caught us, like fucking whatever. I'm like, why do you lie to me, right? Like it was just silly, and I was like, you know, fucking, and there's other things, and I'm like, you know, my mom being a supposed godly person, and made me kind of just, my dad wasn't, but my dad was mad at God when he went to these prayer meetings. But either way, you know, it's this whole thing with her in the Catholic Church. But she's bringing in God into this, which is a hook for her audience, right? Because she's going to talk about praying for a revelation.
the Feast of the Immaculate Conception. A day of obligation means that a day in which you are required to attend Mass outside of, obviously, typically Sundays. And so as soon as we concluded this podcast, I grabbed my jacket and I ran out the door, okay? And as I was sitting through Mass, deciding, I guess, what was on my mind to pray about, for whatever reason, got on my knees, and I was not expecting this to come out, but I just focused my prayer on wanting something to be delivered to me, a piece of evidence that would help us put together the full picture of this assassination. Obviously, we all know that what we are being told is not true. We all know that nothing that we have been presented with makes any practical sense, but there are sort of smoking guns in this that are missing, right? It's
Okay, so God doesn't give a shit about the assassination of Charlie Kirk, right? Especially, it's, you know, it's part of the divine plan. Like, it doesn't matter. You know, God is the truth, and if you pray, like if you were to pray to God for the truth, God would reveal to you what you need to know, right? Like, personally, like I know everything I need to know about all this stuff. Like I don't go to sleep feeling like, oh my God, I get to the bottom of this thing. You know, in the beginning, maybe, you know, when I started being a truther. But, you know, knowing that the system can't be saved, what difference does it make? Like, I present things differently here because I know the system, not only is it can't be saved, but it shouldn't be saved. And it's, you know, better for all of us. I mean, not like in terms of our egos and our comforts and things, if this demonic system would go away. The sooner it would go away, the less damage it would do to the planet, less damage it would do to people. But it's going to, you know, it's going to die an ugly fucking death and take down the world with it. And afterwards, there's going to have to be some redemption. And without the bad shit, there won't be redemption. Without the consequences of our collective behaviors. And, no one's going to when you die, you do not give a shit about the elite, right? You can be the biggest, elite hater and the elite's this, elite that. And the elite don't really have much to do with that, most of these things, because they can't really manifest things, right? And the other thing is that they're crazy here. That's going back to this thing I was talking about, confessions. These people are crazy. Like, they don't know what they're doing because they're crazy. And, crazy people don't understand why they do the things that they do, right? And so, there's none of this is worth resolving. You got a bunch of crazy people that are, so fucked in the head that they don't even know why they're doing what they're doing. And, and they run this, whatever this system is, ego-driven, demonic system. And you're never going to, get to the bottom of it. Like, it's just a never-ending, like, sea of lies, right? And so, like, you're trying to go through a haystack full of lies to find a needle of truth. It's silly. Like, God will tell you what you need to know about any of these things, right? But she wants to solve the Charlie Kirk. She wants to break the story. This is an ego-driven thing. And she wants to be the one. She's got this team of dopes that are following her. And they come up with these theories, and she wants people to watch her. Like, that's her price. Whatever she says about Charlie Kirk, the guy fucked her over. He totally stabbed her in the back. And he chose money from Israel, and Israel's completely disappeared. I mean, her whole thing was the way that the Zionists treated her. And she went through this year of hell. And, like, now where is she? She's in Egyptian plains and France, the Macrons, and now she's going to bring in Iran-Contra, right, in the military, the U.S. military. And, that's, what is it, France? Is it the U.S. military? Is it, what do you need to kill Charlie Kirk? Like, how much do you need to kill the guy? Do you need 3 different militaries? Do you need Mossad, the CIA, and the Egyptian planes, and the French Foreign Legion? Like, how many people does it take to fucking put one bullet in one fucking dopey guy on a stage in front of everybody sitting there like a fucking target, right? Like, what does it take, right? I mean, how many fucking people do you need involved? You need 1 million people to kill Charlie Kirk? Like, what the fuck are you talking about, right? Like, how big is this conspiracy? Trips to South Korea, right? So, like, it's just silly shit here, right?
One thing to point out all the lies, but we need to also have solid, concrete proof of something that took place that was out of the ordinary.
And you don't have that. She does not have that now.
In the days leading up.
I mean, this thing she's going to tell you is not that, right?
I don't know, a planning session. Well, I got back home after this very intentional prayer and did my routine.
It's me, Candace Owens. God, it's me, the Princess Candace Owens. I really want to know who killed Charlie Kirk. So you guys can tell me, God, I really want to know. And anyways, I know it's a day of intention. I got to sort of prayer. I got to go there. It's me, Candace, Candace, me, Candace Owens, me. I really like to know who killed him. Can you tell me, God? Come on, can you send me a sign from God about Charlie Kirk?
Had a very late dinner, went up and said goodnight to the kids, got myself ready for bed, sat in bed, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to open the tips box. And I kid you not when I say that it was the very first email that I saw, the very first email that I opened up. And it really didn't have any details. It was a young woman, and she said, "You really should call my friend. It is absolutely urgent, and he has information that you need to hear."
Boom. Her friend's name's Harry.
And don't tell me why. I don't know what came over me, but maybe it was this intentional prayer.
Exactly. God came over her and said, this is it. This is the big one. This is the big nothing burger you've been looking for. This is the big giant nothing burger.
I said, I'm just going to call him right now. 5 minutes, not even 5 minutes after this email hit my inbox, I was calling this person and I had no idea what it was going to lead to, whether it was going to be a totally insane person or whether or not it was going to be a very swiftly answered prayer.
Again, why are you praying for this? Like, praying for this kind of thing would be, God, what do I need to know here? And it's almost next to nothing. You just need to know that you're being lied to by the government. and that Charlie Kirk was a piece of shit because he took shekels to promote a genocide. And his organization is completely fucked, and they were grifting off of people, and they killed the main grifter, and now there's a bunch of other grifters, and
Person that
she's her own grifter here, right?
I spoke with, his name is or was Harry.
Harry, fucking Harry. It was Harry. I called the guy, and his name was Harry. I go, hey, this is me, Candace Owens. I'm the princess. Me. Harry, what do you got? What do you got to do that's going to make me? What do you got to tell me that make people want to look at me and say, hey, she's got the number podcast because she got the stories and she gets to the insights, she gets the scoops from Harry. All right, so let me switch over to voiceover. Her invoking God here. And then I have a long chunk of stuff. I have a few things to tell you about the big reveals. But I'll give you a Crypt Notes version of what this guy Harry was all about. Okay, so just to expand on what I was saying earlier, people will rationalize and hallucinate and make up imaginary things in their, scenarios and reality, and then act on it. They will do paranoid shit, especially these people who are completely fucked, and they will, imagine and attribute things to you or somebody else or whoever they're doing it, whoever they're going to perpetrate these things on, and imagine things that aren't there, and accuse people of doing things they didn't do, and then feel justified in hurting those people or doing something bad to those people. And when you confront them with their bullshit, they're, because they kind of know they're imagining stuff to give themselves permission to do shit. And so this is what the people who control the system do. Imagining enemies and threats that don't exist. I mean, these paranoid fucking defense people, seeing things that are, ghosts that aren't there and whatever it is. And then, these samskaras that they have and all the distorted reality. And there's dark forces. There's like demonic beings and things out there that can influence people that are feeling angry and hateful. Like if you, are connecting to etheric beings when you're in a hateful state or angry state, like you draw negativity towards you. And so this is, why you can't really get to the truth, because people can't, decipher what's real and what they're hallucinating, what they're making up to justify their actions, right? And so in this story, this guy Harry tells Candace Owens that he was involved in Iran-Contra with George Herbert Walker Bush, that whole Reagan, that whole Reagan thing, going back to Reagan. And then, there was this tunnel that they found, and she shows a news clip of it. This long tunnel where they brought in all these drugs. And this guy discovered the tunnel, but his higher-ups took credit for it. And he was given a medal or something, but he wasn't given enough credit that he was supposed to. And then later on, he was out with his, one of his other army buddies. I don't know if it's a social thing or they were out, officially. And a guy comes up who's a part of the cartel and starts saying shit like, oh, we know who you are and your family is and all these things. And they get away from the guy. But he realizes the higher-ups in the military has ratted him out and gave his name to the cartel, and he went into some kind of witness protection program and all these things. And that he had a gag order for 35 years. Which is weird that they would say you can't talk about this for 35 years, but now it's been lifted, which seems like an odd thing. Why wouldn't it be the rest of your life? 35 years from now you can talk about this. And so that 35 years was up right around September 7th or 8th, a couple of days before the Charlie Kirk assassination, right? And so she goes through a whole long list of this guy's story, right? And so she has 2 points of interest here, which is the first one is, so first of all, I did a little bit of an introduction here to what I was about to say, and then I'm only talking about 3 minutes. It took her 20 minutes to get through that story, right? And she's got all these Candace Owens things that she does to suck her viewers into the thing, right? But the guy comes out of he no longer has a gag order. And so he comes out of it, like conveniently, like just this past September, he comes out of witness protection. He's got a different name. He's no longer Harry. And I'm sure he's Harry, but not Harry. And he comes out, and this is a story he's telling her, right? And she has no way to validate or verify his story other than he can show her, like, I was at this place at this time, right? She says she has all these documents, and we'll hear her talk about that. I'll play that clip part for you. But he goes to this army base, right? And he's trying to find out stories, and he sees that his old unit, which he thought was disbanded, and he sees these guys. He starts talking to them, say, "Yeah, I used to be this guy. I used to be a part of this thing." And they say, "Oh, we have a secret base over here." And so somehow he goes to the secret base, and he gets in, and they let him in. And then he sees a person, and this person, we'll play this for you.
The person that's the center of the action, right? He said you could just tell this is the most important person. And he has gray hair. He's got glasses. I believe he said that he's about 5'10". And at this point, he sees that the person that is with him, and he said, certain that the person that is with him is Brian Harpole. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so it's good the way she throws these people under the bus with zero evidence, right? Not that I trust this guy and fuck this guy, but, she tells a story that this guy goes into this army base, this secret army base. He starts asking questions, and then, he's trying to find out what happened to him years ago, which, after 35 years of being in hiding, like he just wants resolution on this, long since forgotten about Iran-Contra scandal. This is where the American military was selling weapons to the Contras, and they were, all this stuff to do with smuggling drugs into America to make a deal to get the hostages released, this whole thing. And it was never fully admitted to, and, it was basically American CIA selling drugs, and there was all these people involved in that. My brother guarded the poppy fields in Vietnam, which is kind of a thing that's, again, not admitted to. And the only thing that they've admitted to recently is Operation Ajax in Iran, and that was after 60 years. It was like 60 years after they'd done it. They admitted that like 10 years ago, so it's 70 years ago. But they waited 60 years to admit it, and everybody knew it. Like everyone knew it was true, right? Like they might at some point admit that there was more than one shooter at the JFK assassination, but I doubt they'll even do that. So when they release information like Trump releasing these files, they never admit to anything. And there's never enough in there. Like it's just, again, it's not a conviction. So this guy goes into this army base, and then they start getting suspicious of him, and they interrogate him for a long time. And he said they're trying to gaslight him. Again, this is just his story to Candace. There's no way, there's no audio tape, there's no videotape. There's no way to verify any of these things. And they finally realize that he's not a threat or a spy. They think he's a spy. And he sees that they're about to pull off some, he thinks that there's like a big heist or something, right? Again, this is his story. Some random person that just came through her on her tip line. Now, she says she has people who are murdering or want to murder her. So why wouldn't there be people out there who just want to give her disinformation, right? Like, why would you take any of this stuff seriously? Like, this guy's telling a story, and he can't prove any of it. And so when she sees a guy who's in charge, this is his story, when he sees a guy who's in charge, he's standing next to a guy who later he figures out is Brian Harpole, when he sees Brian Harpole being interviewed. Again, so he's seeing a guy he thinks in charge, and there's a guy with him. And a couple of months later, Charlie's, after Charlie's been killed, allegedly, allegedly, there's he sees an interview with this guy, Brian Harpole, somehow. He's like, hey, that's the guy I saw at the army base. And so this is the smoking gun that's supposed to lead one of the two smoking guns. This is the more established one, right? That is going to lead to the confession of the government. I can only see that this new revelation that God gave to me, and we'll get into her whole thing in a second here, but it's completely fucked, right? Like she's just leading these people astray. Like I was saying, that the controllers, like when people say, oh, they're just laughing at us, do you think that did I say this? Maybe I forgot to say this. When people say, hey, they're laughing at us, like you don't understand that you're not that important to them. Like you think this is all a practical joke on you and us, that they're doing this. Aha, we got you guys with this fucking mind control and this, murdering of people and mass poisoning and all this shit. Like the genocide. It was, jokes on you. This is not some fucking practical joke. They don't even care about you, right? They don't care about you enough to laugh at you, right? But Candace Owens, I think, is laughing at her audience. I mean, at least I think all these people, she is, because she comes up with these things and she's able to get everyone to go down the rabbit hole with her, and there's zero evidence here, right?
Oh, it's about to get even more interesting. So,
again, this is just some guy's story. You have no way to know whether this guy's an operative and he's just contacting you so he knows you're going to put out a bunch of disinformation. That's going to take, like, how far are we away from Zionists in Israel, and the fact that this thing began with her talking about how Charlie Kirk had just turned his back on Israel, and she had these tweets and all these, things that he had said, and that, they were upset, and Benjamin Netanyahu came in and lied immediately and had to give a statement saying Israel wasn't involved in Charlie Kirk's murder. And then she's gone on this fucking whirlwind of Egyptian planes and all this other bullshit, where she started off with a credible story, where she had real legitimate evidence, a note that Charlie, or not a note, a memo he had put out to his staff to do a Doge-like audit of his finances, of their finances, because they wanted to know where the money was going and where it was coming from. And Israel was, that was where most of the money was coming from. And that he was tired of being bullied by Israel and the things that we were saying a month before he died. And, 2 days before he died, he said he wanted to bring Candace back and he was going to cut ties with Israel. And she had these tweets, and everyone said she was lying, and she revealed these tweets. So she looked like she was credible, and she got these all guys caught in her trap. And now she's just, like out there in fucking batshit crazy land, right? And talking about some guy who she doesn't even know 10 minutes ago, and now he's telling her this tale, and she doesn't have any evidence to support any of the things he's saying. And he said he saw Brian Harpool at an army base, a week before Charlie's assassination, and that's a smoking fucking gun that God gave you. Like, this is like you prayed to God for some fucking revelation, and this is it. And she'll just, find another thing in 2 days and tell you this is it, and like, fucking, it's so interesting, and I got questions about this, right? She knows how to lead you fucking dumb fucks on. Not none of you guys, because I don't think you guys like her. But she's, but if you are a Candace fan and you showed up here, this isn't, I'm not Tim Pool is slamming her, and she has another thing with him. And these other things, or people who are jealous of her, or angry. I mean, I'm not, this is her just fucking deceiving you, right? With no real evidence. Because all the military would have to say, if they ever admitted to anything, is they could come up with a million legitimate or seemingly legitimate reasons why Brian Harpool was there, including ones where he might have been checking on security for Charlie Kirk. Like, who knows, if this was actually Brian Harpool, if this guy was actually telling the truth. But if it was, then if this thing actually happened, he isn't convicted of any crime. She's saying this links Brian Harpool to the military, and the military to Charlie Kirk's assassination. And they're going to, with your guys' help, we're going to fucking beat a confession out of these fucking governmental fools, these feds, right?
Again, I'm going to say allegedly because I wasn't there, but I have spoken to this guy, and I very much trust what he is saying. I think.
Okay, so you trust him? Oh my God, then we should trust him because we trust you. It's a circle of trust. Well, you're so trust fucking worthy. You never lied. You're not a deceiver. You weren't pitching shit for Israel and working for Ben fucking Shapiro, until you figured out, hey, they're committing a genocide over there. Years of being a part of this TPUSK fucking pushing the giant Zionist agenda, and you weren't out there pushing for Trump to get elected and doing all this right wing shit and still talking about his assassination attempt, the Trump assassination attempt, like it was real. Like, you're so fucking trustworthy, and your judgment is so trustworthy that you weren't a piece of shit Republican just until about, 6 months ago, when they fucked you over, according to you. And then now you have the #1 podcast. You're totally trustworthy. Like, you're not. And if you trust this guy, you're with your fucking excellent judgment, then we should trust him, even though this story has nothing. They saw Brian Harpool.
He's very credible. Okay. So he sees Brian Harple come out, this older guy, and that he has, what then happens is first the guys that
He's
are
got a
talking-
folder that says, plan to kill Charlie Kirk.
him and are friendly. He explains to them, yeah, this is what happened to me. I just want to speak to somebody. They're like, yeah, let me help you. Then all of a sudden, after Brian, who he believes to be Brian Harple, who he's not obviously recognized at that time, he would not have known that was Brian Harple, but he remembers him, obviously, because then the biggest political assassination since JFK happens. Suddenly, somebody hits the panic button.
Suddenly, somebody hits the panic button.
And two captains come out, and they escort him out of the building, and they begin.
So that's when they begin the interrogation, right? They start interrogating this guy and try to gaslight him. And again, fucking no way to validate and verify any of this story. So then there's the second big reveal, which is even fun. Like, I laughed out loud when I heard this one. Okay, so here it is.
Commander, and he said he was approximately 36 years old. He had brown hair, the one I'm talking about that was leading the charge on asking him all the questions and interrogating him, and that his name was Captain Neff. I'm going, now,
Blake Neff's maybe relative, right? Because Blake Neff's the guy called the angry TPUS gay twink, angry MAGA twink. Is that what it's calling him? Anyways, and Tim Pool, but Blake Neff is the guy over at Turning Point that laid down the gauntlet for this upcoming thing, and she's saying that this guy who interrogated him is also named Neff. So these are the two things, that the guy claims he saw somebody that he thinks is Brian Harpool, and he was involved in Iran-Contra. And so, which has nothing to do with any of this thing. This is just this guy's backstory. She spends 20 minutes on that thing. And, that whole conspiracy also, it makes the government look bad. And that this guy gets interrogated, so something was up, thinks he sees Charlie Kirk's chief of security, and the guy interrogating him's last name is also Neff, like Blake Neff. And that's somehow a smoking fucking gun that's going to get the feds to admit that the military was involved in Charlie Kirk's assassination. Like, that's the whole thing, right? There's nothing else. And, like, this is just somebody's story, and the story isn't even a smoking gun.
I have the same question that you have, because I've looked, and it does seem that, and I never even questioned this, whether or not it's potential that Blake Neff has military connections as well. Like, I guess that kind of like, I just thought this is the producer of Charlie Kirk show, but it is interesting that somebody, and this would be brother, cousin, I don't know, this is the person that interrogated him, and eventually he says was a person that had a heart and realized that he was not a part of any spy network. And
those Neffs, they're deep down, they're under the angry twink exterior. They have good hearts, right? Okay, so and he likes those, like Neff is, they got the hearts.
Eventually escorted him off of the base and onto his way. That's a lot of coincidence for me.
It's a lot of coincidence for me, you conspiracy theorist. I'm not going to say it's a smoking gun, although I did say this was a smoking gun that was given to me by God. And it's going to lead to the government admitting that the military was a part of a collaborative assassination attempt that involved everybody from the Egyptians to the French Foreign Legion to extraterrestrials to the Predator and the Alien in the Predator and Alien movies, and then everybody else that needed to be involved in firing this one caliber bullet that no one's not sure what it is. Like fucking Jesus fucking Christ, right? And so
now he says to me, communicated this to me very clearly. He said, Candace, I know how these meetings work. These are the meetings that are had ahead of an operation. Like when an operation is being confirmed, you have these final meetings, and they involve all of the higher ups, and You are trying to do this in a very isolated location.
You know, if they were going to have those kind of meetings, they wouldn't let some random stranger who said he used to be involved in this unit with no military credentials, who's had to change his names because he's been in witness protection, shows up at an army base and gets privy to all this stuff, right? I mean, it's fucking stupid. Like, this thing is stupid. The story is fucking stupid, right? It's like, doesn't make any sense. And it's nothing. There's nothing here, right? Like, for her to come out and say this is going to lead to a confession by the government saying, yeah, the fucking troops were involved, the military was involved, it's fucking stupid. And then she thinks you're stupid. I mean, she must, like, hate her audience, right? To bring them down this path. I mean, just making fools of them. Like, just fucking, you know, she's got all these people watching this bullshit. And I can see why they get hooked into it, because they're dumb fucks, and, you know, people want these kind of over-the-top stories.
Where, you know, people are not going to accidentally happen upon you because they've got something to say about what happened 35 years ago. And that is what he happened upon. And I don't know what to make of this information other than he feels that
it's information you shouldn't reveal, right? Because, you know, if you're going to be a fair person, like an honest person, you don't know if that guy's is connected to Blake Neff, right? Like, that's, you know, Blake Neff might not have any relatives. Like, he might not have any people that are in the military. And this, you can find out who this guy is and find out whether he's actually related to Blake Neff. And so if he isn't, yeah, well, this shouldn't be mentioned. And if he is, how do you know they're even, like, it's his distant cousin or whatever it is, right? Like, they don't even talk. They have nothing to do with each other. They just happen to be this guy, you know, in terms of his story. And if the guy even, you know, any of the things that this guy is saying is true, because you can't verify any of it. And whether he saw Brian Harpool or not, you know, him seeing him at the army base doesn't mean shit. And so, like, you throw in this amount of fucking conspiracy shit out to these dumb fuck viewers of yours with nothing. Like, you know, again, Brian Harpool seems like a real piece of shit, and that interview he did seemed fucking incriminating. And then, you know, that whole failure, and they all have to be involved, and they're all fucking guilty. You know, they all are complicit in one way or another, as is she, right? But, you know, it's like there's no getting to the bottom of this. Look at where you're fucking going now, right? Iran-Contra is added to the Egyptian plains. Like, what else are you going to fucking throw out there that your dumb fuck people are going to be, like, digging through fucking, you know, documentation trying to figure out, oh, let's go follow this fucking lead that Candace just prayed for and God delivered. God doesn't fucking give a shit if you solve this mystery, right? Doesn't benefit the divine system if you get to the bottom of this fucking thing. Charlie Kirk wasn't a spiritual person, a religious, godly person. He was a political person and a piece of shit one at that, right? Kind of money that he was getting was being thrown around by foreign governments. He's a traitor. He's a Judas. You know, you think that it doesn't... do you really give a shit who killed Judas? I mean, how many of you guys care about who killed Judas, right? And so it was just the fact that this happened out in the open, and Charlie Kirk is presented as somebody to these right-wing dopes that he isn't, right? And so... but you never get to the bottom of any of it. Like, that's what I always say. Even if they released all the Epstein files, nothing ever comes of any of these things. There's no accountability, there's no consequences, but in the divine world there is. There's an accountability system called samskaras, where no matter what you do, and there's a future lives, and so whatever you do in this life, you're going to have to pay for in the future life, and wherever else. Like, whatever, all the good things, anything you do to advance your soul in terms of your spiritual journey, that's, you know, that's going to be there in the afterlife. And anything that you bring with you, all this heavy grossness and things that you know, decisions that you made that hinder the divine will, you have to pay for those things. You have to re-experience them, and you know, you come in with these things that block your soul's path to doing what it really wants to do. So everybody suffers whatever they do. There's a divine accountability system, and we don't even have to think about it. Like, it's just there. You can see it all around you. You can see about things that you've done in your past that come back up later on. You can see about things like smoking cigarettes that lead to lung cancer. You can see about drinking alcohol that leads to cirrhosis of the liver, right? There are consequences for things that you do. There you see about when you gamble your life savings away, and then you end up being a homeless person on the street. There's consequences. There's divine consequences. And so we don't have to catch the controllers. You don't have to bring justice to them. There's divine justice. Nobody gets away with anything. I can rest assured that one thing I do know, that there is everything's recorded. There's nothing that is missed because it's recorded within you. Like, you are the barometer of your own consequences. Your soul is is encrusted with these, like, it's like a web, is being like a web of like a record player, like an old vinyl record, grooves on your soul. These things, this energy that's there in your soul that you have to clean off. You're recording all the things that you do wrong, and your soul fucking knows everything. It doesn't lie about any of it, and it has to be worked out later on. Anything that you do that forms an impression, that that has some kind of anything that you do that goes against God's will is there for you to to suffer whatever you have to suffer for. Not in the sense of punishment. There's cause and effect, right?
And recognized these people. He feels certain that he recognized these people.
He feels certain with nothing, no videos, no anything. So, like, you've just met this guy, or didn't. You've talked to this guy. You found a tip on a tip line. And very realistic possibility this could be disinformation that somebody's sending you. But, I think she's just making it up. But, like, let's say she did talk to this guy. This isn't something that you would go to press with. If she had an editor, they'd be like, you don't have anything here. You have to, before you go and make a video about this, before you go and bring this to press. I mean, she used to be a journalist, right? She said she worked for the Daily Mail. Before you bring this out there, you need to fact check all of these things and, get other sources, and then ask for the official story and tell what the military said about this. You have to find out if this is actually guys related to Blake Neff. You have to find out if this guy actually, they admit to Brian Harpool being there. You have to see what they say about their involvement. You have to, figure out if these guys were the guys in maroon shirts and all this other shit that's happening, right? Like, she just throws out circumstantial shit, and often it's just bullshit tip line stuff that she doesn't fact check at all. And then people make huge assessments and trust her about this for God knows what reason. And the number one reason is TPUS gay, Trump, and the government and all these other people are bullshit fucking liars that are obviously covering up something. And they're putting out a ridiculous official story. And she's the only person that's got a big enough net and, influence to be able to get all these people that don't believe in the official story and desperately want to know who killed Charlie Kirk. And she started off with, like, real shit about Israel, who had a Benjamin Netanyahu lying about shit that happened in his meeting with Charlie Kirk and misrepresenting Charlie Kirk's position right before he died. And then all the things that she had from Charlie Kirk saying he was done with Israel. That was the only thing she had. And it's not enough to do anything. And so now she's just come up, like, with fucking crazy fucking down the rabbit hole stuff.
In the days following Charlie Kirk's assassination, when a bunch of people are doing Fox News, and obviously then we've got a massive event at a stadium, and everybody is in front of the camera eulogizing him. He feels confident that he recognizes these people. And
one person. He recognized one person, which was the security guy, who wasn't involved. What are you talking about? Who are the other people? You didn't mention no other people here, right?
That needs to be shared. He's willing to tell a story. Like I said, I have verified. He has sent me so many documents, everything from his high school graduation certificate to his military documents to the police records to everything that he's speaking about that happened back then, NDAs, judges, things that he's been in court with fighting just to get out his story of what happened 35 years ago when he did the right thing. When he stumbled.
So you validated, or you think he validated to you. We're supposed to trust that she has these documents. She's getting into Alex Jones land, where Alex Jones would hold up, hey, get the document cam here, show the document I have, right? Or like I said, that thing that happened with, whatever that actor was that was in, I can see his face, but he had that other, that actor that was in the 4th of July, and he came out and said that the Hollywood guys just stole his house and stole all his money. And he would present all these documents and hold them up to the camera. Oh, he's got documents, And so I'll remember the guy's name later, whatever it is. But like this doesn't. Yeah, okay. You say you have documents, and you say this guy was involved in Iran Contra, and maybe he was. That doesn't mean anything, right? Like that. You're saying, okay, like the two things you need to prove is one is the guy Blake Neff's cousin or whatever. Is this guy Blake Neff's brother or whatever? So that if he isn't, they just have the same name. So that's nothing. Like it actually would be nothing. And even if they were related, it's still basically nothing. And is this Brian Harpool that he ran into at the military base? Again, no evidence that the military was going to do an operation or be a part of the Charlie Kirk thing. So that's still nothing, but like it could be like less than nothing if it isn't Brian Harpool. And so he's not showing you any documentation that either of those two claims that don't really mean anything, right? And so
Upon. And boy, does he have some luck. Boy, does he have some luck that he goes from one government conspiracy to what he now believes he stumbled upon, which would be another government conspiracy.
yeah, it's nothing. He didn't stumble on shit. Like you presenting this thing like it's a real thing, and the way that you built it up in the beginning of this thing, you built it up like there was real shit here you had to offer, a real smoking gun, like you're saying. We have all these things, but it's all circumstantial shit. Red planes, yellow planes, blue planes, red fish, blue fish, two fish, one fish. Fucking, this Dr. Zeus shit you got going on here, right? This is Scooby-Doo land. And you expect, like, with this circumstantial evidence, and you tie some guy up with an extension cord, and you pull off his mask, and he said, I would have got it. I would have got away with it if it wasn't for you meddling Candace Owens and your crew of junior detectives, your QAnon-like crew of junior detectives, going out there snooping around and coming up with the information to fill in all these massive holes and putting together fucking something when where you're on the right track when you're talking about Israel. Like how much is Israel paying you to move away from all the stuff that you were originally talking about? Like you're in Egyptians and French and and fucking the U.S. military and hidden fucking Air Force bases and Iran Contra.
Okay. He said that this commander, Neff, by the way, was the commander of force protection. Best he could tell, he did not get the first name. He did get an incident number, which I should have had prepared for you, but I can find it here in our chat because he sent me that too. He said there would have been no record for this if they didn't swarm me as if there was a bomb threat, because now, of course, there is an actual incident report, and he believes that this can be FOIA requested.
Okay, so like it's just going to say that it was at the military base. Like anybody could go to a military base, cause a fucking. You don't even have to get in there. You could be like those fucking guys storming Area 51. You could show up. They could arrest you and do an incident report, and say you were there at the base. That doesn't mean that that's Blake Neff's brother, and even if it was, so what, right? Like it could mean something, a little bit suspicious, but it really doesn't mean anything. And and is there going to be information that's going to confirm that Brian Harpool was there? And even if you do, that doesn't mean shit, right? Like that means he was at a military base, and he could say any number of lies if like if this was actually something. And so like you have nothing here. It's not worth going to press. This is not ready for public consumption, right? Especially when you're red plane, you're putting out all this plane shit. She just makes truthers look like stupid conspiracy theorists, which is always part of the goal. And they are stupid for buying into her bullshit, right? She's not a trustworthy person for all the reasons that we see.
And that report number, if you will bear with me, I'm going to read that to you all because I think this is going to take really the whole world to investigate.
The whole world. Every fucking person's going to have to investigate. If we get the whole world, all 7 billion people doing it, then, to find out what happened at this incident report.
It is 861.
861?
1 dash 2025 dash
A lot of dashes.
MPC 446. So that is the report number that was given to him by this Captain Commander Neff. And like I said, he has given me I could have just put up documents upon documents,
Yeah, documents about his past. So he might have been involved in this Iran-Contra. We don't know. But you say you saw the documents, and you're trustworthy. It's a person who, was a former journalist and would know that no editor would say, "Oh, let's run this. Let's go to press with this. We got a smoking gun," right?
certifying that he was there, certifying that this happened, whether or not his descriptions and whether or not the people that he thinks he actually saw at this base, I don't know.
Of course you don't know, because you can't know. You're admitting to it. So why are you talking about this like you have a smoking gun? Like, the guy, there's all these people are going to tell you bullshit stuff. And so, what? Like, this is your content? This is like fucking, she's 28 minutes into this thing. Fucking, to get to the part where she says, I don't even know if anything you said was true. Of course you don't. Like, you don't even know anything you say is true. I got documents out to Yin Yang that he was a part of Iran-Contra. Okay, great. You want to investigate Iran-Contra? Who gives a shit about that, right? Just another fucking, another red herring down this rabbit hole, the never-ending rabbit hole that you take all your fucking viewers down.
I will say is that something that I could easily have done was to see whether or not I asked him, did you see Dan Flood? No. Well, that checks out because Dan Flood was with Charlie in Korea.
So I asked him about the Dan Flood when he said, no, I didn't see Dan Flood. And I knew he was fucking telling the truth.
And I am wondering about that. Like, why would you want to go to Japan a day before you have a college campus event?
And why would you? Like, because you're going to get murdered. That's why. And then TPUSK was responsible, which to me, there's no doubt they are, or at least complicit. But like, you're not proving shit. Like, you've been doing this for 3 months. This is where you're at, right? You're Iran-Contra. That's the latest fucking revelation,
right? You have Charlie on the 5th, and on the 6th of September, he is in Korea doing an event. And then on the
it's so suspicious.
7th, he's in Japan, and he is on CNN News Japan speaking. And so, yeah, like on the 8th, if that's when he left, maybe he left on the 9th, you got a 12-hour flight back home. And I have questions, and somebody out there knows something, and I don't know.
Why not fucking, get rid of them on the plane, like, or in Japan, you know what I'm saying? Like, and why don't you fucking give us some, like, blowfish that the guy didn't get the poison gland out of, right? Like,
to say other than this feels right.
It feels right. It feels right. It just feels so right. If this is wrong, I don't want to be right.
Feels right to me.
It just feels right to me. It just feels right. It feels right that this guy Neff might be Blake's relative. No way of me figuring that out. I have to 23andMe these two motherfuckers, and then that the guy did see Brian Harpool because it feels right. It feels like he did. And if those two things are true, then the fucking military obviously were part of this massive fucking conspiracy to shoot one fucking dude in the throat.
Feels to me, as we were speaking about yesterday, about global trafficking and cartels and the government involved in this somehow and implicated in this somehow in ways that we don't quite understand, but that we know involves the highest possible levels of corruption, that this feels right. And like I said, he is not hiding.
Okay, so if you want to be successful about anything, and these guys should know this, right? If I know it, they know it. It's going to make sense to you, and you'll be like, yeah, it's totally true. Getting the least amount of people involved, like when you are doing a criminal enterprise, the least amount of people that know, right? You remember in The Goodfellas, which is based in like a true story, and the Robert De Niro character was paranoid. He pulls off this massive heist, and the government starts to investigate. It's like one of the biggest heists ever. They got all these, a ton of money. And he starts killing everybody that was involved in it. Like they take this one guy and they ice pick him in the back of the head because he was, if he didn't get his money. And then this other guy said, don't spend the money. And he comes in, he's a Cadillac, and he's got a fucking his whore is wearing a mink coat, right? And so, he's like, you guys didn't fucking listen to me. Don't fucking spend the money. And all these people, and there's like, whatever amount of people that are involved, and they kill everybody, right? Even if, not just because they were going to rat or they were rats. And again, rat isn't a good word because, I mean, telling the truth is not being a rat, right? Telling the truth about criminals is not being a rat. Tell the truth about criminals. Fuck those guys, right? I mean, we have this idea. We glorify criminals in this country. How many shows are about heists and, stealing things and whatever? They justify it like some Robin Hood bullshit, but it's all fucking bad. But, the least amount of people that know about something, the better. The least moving parts that are involved are the better. And so you would put the team of enough people to successfully achieve this. But you don't want everyone TPUS gay knowing about it, right? You don't want anybody, getting drunk and telling some person, or other what happened and that person, like whatever it is. You don't want and I say this about all these conspiracies and all these things of the government. They only tell you what you need to know. They compartmentalize it. They you have your little bit of information if you're involved, and you don't know the overall thing. This is what they did when they would shoot these movies, these Avengers movies. They wouldn't give everyone the full script because they wanted to keep all these details secret, right? And so these high-paid actors would only know about their scenes, and they maybe talk to some of the other actors, but they have NDAs, so they don't even talk, so they'd be sued. These things. And so they only know, they don't read the whole script of what everyone else is doing. They only need to know the things of the scenes that they're involved in. And so that's what you would do. So this idea that there's a vast amount of agencies and different governments involved, it's silly. You're killing one fucking guy, right? What do you need? You need a guy who's a qualified. Remember, she showed you a shooter, which I showed you in my last video. And the shooter is saying, that this was a chip shot from, 1,500 yards or whatever it was, 150 yards. And that this is a 1,000-yard gun. Like, this is 3 football fields you can make this shot. And so, with that caliber of bullet and the rifle that he was using. And so they need one qualified sniper. You guys, it's a standard, he's a stationary target, right? He's only, the chances that he's moving right before you shoot him. And so you're pulling the trigger and he's moving right at that point. And that, before you pull the trigger down, he's moved and now his location's changed, right? And that can happen to anything. So, that's why they have multiple shooters. But, the reality of the thing is you could just put somebody in the crowd with a handgun. Like he doesn't even 10 feet away from him, right? Like a can't miss type of situation. But you need one guy with one gun and a support team he needs to pull it off. And, maybe the security system, a team or whatever is involved to whatever extent, but they have limited information. And so, you don't need any of this stuff. It's just silly.
He is done hiding. He has been silenced for 35 years, running from his life and being gaslit about that in the same way that I am being gaslit about that. And I have a very terrifying...
So he must be involved. He must be telling the truth. That you're being gaslit? I mean, fuck you being gaslit. You're gaslighting your fucking audience right now by giving them unsubstantial information that you just have a hunch about.
Update for you regarding people that have been trying to assassinate me. And speaking to him was, I guess, emotionally qualifying because exactly what he's been going through, I've been going through. He didn't have
so he's not going through anything because you're not going through. The whole thing with Tim Pool is talking about how she has no security. She's out there. I know it. He's got people shooting at his house. He calls her a vile cunt, right? This whole thing. That's why I was saying this thing about her and Erika having a cunt off. I saw this thing that she posted on Twitter, and now she's putting it on her show of Tim Pool going off at her, right? And he's obviously, an angry young twink. But I mean, the thing is just silly. These Republican people, they're all most of the dudes are gay. But they're anti-gay, but they're also gay. The guy had George, whatever his name is, the guy who's Sanchez, Dirty Sanchez. I'm not even sure what that is, but I know it's a thing. I'm not going to look it up, but I suggest you don't. It's like an Urban Dictionary thing. But whenever I've looked them up, it's just like I'm like, oh, that's so gross. You know, whenever I look something up, that like I don't know what it is, and you have to look it up at the Urban Dictionary. I'm like, I wish I didn't do that. That's something I didn't need to do. But anyways, George Santos and all these people, they're so fucked, right? I mean, it's just like this the depravity and stupidity and all these things. And you're trying to search for the answers with people that don't even know why they're lying, right? They don't even know what's lies and truth anymore, like all of them.
For him to be able to get his name out. And I said to him, like, do you want to come out? And he said, yeah, I've been silent for 35 years. He said, I watch your stuff and I can't believe that you got this email. And I said to him, the chances of me seeing this were basically slim to none. And it was the first email that was in my box, and I just called you. And I feel God moving in that.
See, this is where she gets these people. Like, why would God be moving in that, right? There's all ways that you can see that God has a plan. And so if it's part of God's plan, that's fine. But why would this be part of God's plan? Would God traffic in such so superficial and circumstantial evidence that's not really worth telling people about because you don't really have anything here? It's just a fucking nothing burger.
And despite just the utterly demonic and satanic action and the level of collusion that had to take place.
Okay, so Charlie Kirk took $200 million from Zionists to promote a genocide. And then he bullied kids and gaslight kids on college campuses and said that the Palestinian people that Egypt and these other countries in that area should step up and take these Palestinian refugees because he believed in the biblical rights of the Israelis based on this idea of a promised land and a piece of shit Old Testament, practicing the Sabbath and taking this, practicing the Jewish Sabbath, right, the Shabbat, and taking all this fucking money and pushing all this bullshit agenda. And then when he realized he'd lost his audience, not because he felt guilty or felt bad for the Palestinian people, and that he was willing to speak out about it himself, he brought in other people to speak out so he could sort of, scam the system. But the fucking Zionists aren't fucking stupid. And they didn't give him $200 million to bring in Dave Smith and Tucker Carlson and undermine their argument, right? And so they wanted 100% cooperation from him. And so, whatever that thing is, and getting the piece of shit Donald Trump, who's by far the worst president in the history of presidents, that other Republicans are fucking, laughing at, but won't do it to his face. I mean, this debacle of a fucking administration. And so he's only the worst because he's unhinged and he's out of control. Like, he's not controlled like the other ones, and he's being propped up to take down the system and in a way that only he could. And so, like, there's nothing here but evil, right? What do you mean? This thing is evil to kill Charlie Kirk? Charlie Kirk dying isn't some fucking tragedy. His fucking wife raking in the fucking the martyr money, right?
For 9/10 to happen. I do also know, as I have always known spiritually, that they wouldn't get away with it. And I think
they're totally going to get away with it. I mean, TPUS gay is done. So whatever their contribution is, Erika Kirk is going to be whatever she is in terms of her following and whatever she carves out for herself. No one's going to fucking jail other than this kid. What do you mean they're good? You think they're not? They got away with killing JFK, and even now we don't know the truth. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? They're not going to get away with it. Jesus fucking Christ. What is evidence is they've ever been caught or there's been any accountability about anything? They're not going to get away with it. That's just things you're saying to keep your audience going. You're 3 months into this thing and you have nothing. It just keeps on getting vaster. You're bringing in new fucking crazy ideas every day.
Charlie, whatever vision he had, in which he knew his life would be short, and which he knew that I would not let this go because I somehow feel tied to it, and we're seeing more and more every day that somehow I am tied to this. I think that this is God operating. I really do.
I really do think it's God. Everything is God operating. There isn't one part of our experience that doesn't have God in it. Like, everything's God, right? Like, what the fuck are you talking about, right? It's just like ways to drag these right-wing Christians in. I mean, she must hate these fucking people. or like just, whatever way that she feels about her audience. So you have a responsibility to your audience, right? You don't have to be kind to them. You don't have to treat them with like whatever it is, respect in the sense of respect. But you shouldn't do damage to your audience, right? You shouldn't put out false information, especially if you're claiming to be a truther. You shouldn't lead them down the fucking, lead them astray. I mean, all of us who are talking here, we have a responsibility to the truth and to ourselves to tell the truth, right? To our souls, to not, bring other people down some deviant path, right? We should at least believe in what we're saying. We should at least, at the very least, even if you're wrong, believe that you're saying is true. Like, not willfully just making shit up and bringing in God and manipulating these fucking people in ways that she's probably not even conscious that she's doing, and then work for whoever she's working for, whoever propped her up in the first place. Remember, she used to work for fucking Ben Shapiro, right? So, like, how credible could she be? She was, partners with Charlie Kirk or friends with him and the TPUSK stuff. Like, she was a part of all these, bullshit fucking things that she now, disavows. She pushed for Trump being elected, right? She's been on the wrong side of all these things. And then all of a sudden now she's like, yeah, great. She came out against Israel for a little bit, but now she's fucking crazy. She's in la la land.
Bless this man. Thank you so much for your service to this country. I know that he said he would love to meet Ian Carroll, and I guess he's watching his stuff, and I will obviously make that happen and much more in the coming days. I don't expect the feds to reach out. I don't expect them to be interested in this angle or this potential meeting. And I think
So remember, going back to the beginning, when she said, yeah, I can't see, this is going to definitely lead for them to confession about how the U.S. military was involved in Charlie Kirk's assassination. Like, she said those fucking words, and she printed it in the description box to this fucking video. And then she comes out like, I don't think the feds are going to say. Of course they're not going to say anything. Why would they have to say anything? Like, this is crazy fucking talk, right? Because you don't have any real evidence that you presented something with. I mean, what you did have was nothing, right? Like, if what you presented was true, Brian Harpool and Neff, that's nothing. That's nothing, right? And the 15 or 20 minutes she spent on the backstory of this guy and Iran-Contra trying to make this guy, well, this guy was on the right side of this conspiracy, so he must be on the right side of this other one. No, this guy was a military operative. And, who aren't known for fucking moral behaviors, right? I mean, the government asks you to do shitty stuff when you're in the army. I mean, do horrible things, and they do them. And so, like, they're not heroes in the sense of, well, yeah, they have to deal with death and the threat of their lives and these things, but they're not usually defending America. They're usually doing evil shit for rich people, right? Which we pretty much all should know.
probably already knew about. I do hope, though, that somebody else saw something and somebody knows the quickest way to FOIA request that stuff. Somebody knows how.
More tips at CandaceOwens.com. Like, she's depending on you guys to figure out and validate what she just said. Like, it's not her responsibility to make sure that any of this stuff is true.
To get behind this so we can get information. I've given you the dates. I've given you the times. He has given so much more. And
you mean, is there a video out there where this guy sees Brian Harpool? Like, is that what you're looking for? Like, somebody at the military base was shooting videos ahead of this secret, there's somebody in there for, like, tending to the vending machines, and they turn their phone on in their pocket, and they tape this guy seeing Brian Harpool? Or somebody's going to go in there and leak camera footage, inside camera footage of what was going on, and say, yeah, that was Brian Harpool at the base that day? It still means nothing, right? It means nothing. And Brian Harpool could easily lie his way out of this fucking trap that you supposedly set for him.
I know. I just thank God that I saw that email.
I mean, that is just, I did too, because this has been a great episode for me, mocking the shit out of your fucking investigative skills.
We're going to pause there. And if you guys know anything, obviously email us at moretips@CandaceOwens.com. And we'll get through some sponsors that we are grateful for.
I mean, she is fucked in the head. Like, I think is she just crazy? So then I want to show you this, because this segues into this.
All right, you guys, this holiday season, you can express your love with a very special gift of premium steaks from Riverbend Ranch. Their holiday bundles are only available while supplies last, and they're going to go very quickly. You can order your holiday gifts today at riverbendranch.com. If you haven't yet tried Riverbend Ranch steaks, it is time that you did, because I've never had a better steak in my entire
Never had a better steak. Never had a better steak. I'm sure they are overcharging the shit out of them, but there's something here I want you to hear.
life. For the last 35 years, Riverbend Ranch has been creating an elite Angus herd by using ultrasound technology to select genetically superior cattle with a focus on flavor and tenderness.
Okay, so they're ultrasounding the shit out of these cows to see how much fat quality they have. You know, so they're figuring out what their meat and fat content looks like, right? And you know, if you do any research on ultrasound, I mean, it's great to hear your child's heartbeat, but it isn't good for them. You know, your ultrasound going into a woman's womb, and so you're eating radiated cattle, right? You know, that they're going in and ultrasounding the shit out of these cows. You know, maybe you should do some fucking investigative research on this before shilling for this company that's irradiating their cattle and then sending them, you know, whatever kind of bullshit they're sending them to, right? I'm not saying it does damage, but, you know, doesn't sound like it's a good thing. And, you know, and I'm sure they're overcharging you. So that's the Candace Owens piece. All right, so we got this fucking thing now. Like, after going through that, like, you know, I mean, Candace Owens is really annoying, but Erika Kirk. So this is a real, here.
Welcome back. Charlie Kirk's final book is out today. It's called Stop in the Name of God.
All right, Charlie Kirk's final book that he finished only 1 month before his assassination. It is now out in bookstores around the country. Stop in the Name of God.
To Charlie Kirk, her husband's book, Stop in the Name of God, Why Honoring the Sabbath Will Transform Your Life.
There's that moment where I realized I'm going to have to listen to 3 fucking Erika Kirk interviews. At least comb through them. All right, let's start off with this one. I listened to the beginning of this one already.
Why Honoring the Sabbath Will Transform Your Life. It's currently #1 on Amazon. He wrote it just 1 month before his assassination. Charlie had been urging people to disconnect from technology and reconnect with what matters. Watch this.
She's not got a good voice.
Turn your phone off for 1 day. No contact, no social media, no work. Your mental health will improve dramatically. That is a day to go be with God. That is a day to read your Bible and be out of the busyness and the hurriedness and the anger and the noise of this world.
Okay, so first of all, I don't mind that message. The Sabbath is a Sabbath. That's whatever that is, right? And I don't know what he's calling the Sabbath because he did Shabbat, you know, this whole thing. But you don't need a whole book for that, and people aren't going to do it. So it's like, it's pointless, right?
Erika, this theme, it connects with everybody,
It
right?
does.
We're talking about this all the time, how we can be closer to family and to friends and be off our phones. Why was this so important for Charlie?
Because he knew that it transcended any type of political label, any age group, any demographic, and Charlie was known for being a bridge builder. And
Okay, so that's first thing, that's not true. Name me any kind of liberal people that followed Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk was seen as a radical conservative, right? And he had radical conservative right-wing Christian views. You know, what he's credited for is that there was a bunch of angry young men who are being demonized by the Democrats, especially angry white men, but angry men in general, especially young men. And they didn't see that they had a future. In fact, the Democratic Party, and I saw this guy on CNN, this guy was on CNN, and he did this report. And he showed that the Democratic platform said this is who the Democratic Party serves. And it started with women. It was women, it was like third or fourth, whatever, second, maybe even first. I think it was like second or third. And it went through a list of people that it served, and it didn't mention men. It mentioned women, but not men, right? Like, they didn't want to put men on their list of people they served. And, of course, that came back to bite them. So you had these angry young men, and Charlie Kirk was able to connect with them. And they were, you know, maybe not liberals or conservatives, but that was it. There wasn't age demographics. He was being paid by Israel to go out and shill for Israel. He was being paid by the Zionist lobby to shill and try to fight back against the anti-Israeli sentiment on campuses. That's what his big role was. But he wasn't bringing any together. He was, was bringing his bank account and $100 million worth of shekels per year. Like he was bringing those two things together, Charlie Shekels. But he wasn't bringing groups of people together. I mean, you can see it now, and there's so much division in his own fucking organization. There's people who are ratting, the organization out to Candace Owens and other people. I mean, and then the division that she has done to the Republican Party, Erika Kirk with her fake crying. I mean, just look, it's in disarray, right? He wasn't a fucking bringing people together, and so like, don't pretend like he was, that liberals liked and dug what Charlie Kirk said, right? Like, he was good at trying to convince them they were wrong in a rigged setup when they were college kids going against a grown ass man with a where he's holding court in front of them, where he's in a superior position, and they called it him winning debates, right?
This is what helped fill that generational gap between grandparents and their grandchildren or parents and their children. And he knew, being able to see it firsthand, how it impacted his family and in us. And he knew that this was something that the world needed to hear, and God did too. And he put it on his heart, and Charlie wrote it. And I know that it's going to change and impact millions of lives.
Okay, so that's, the way that she does it, those expressions she does, it's just so fucking annoying. She's just so bad. But, no one's buying her shit, right? She has a small fan base. But what she said, it impacting millions of people's lives. Now, first of all, I don't believe the Sabbath the way that Christians do. I mean, Sunday's the day we did our group meditation. It was always a more spiritual day. Like Sunday just has a feel to it beyond Christianity. But, I do agree with that we need less technology, and I've talked about it. I mean, not just turning off your phone, but turning off the Wi-Fi in your house. And, and you can't do that with your neighbors. I mean, it's everywhere. But okay, we all agree on that. Like, we all agree on that. She says that millions of people are going to do that. They're going to put a phone away for a whole day. Maybe some Christians, some Charlie Kirk fans will try it. They'll do a New Year's resolution. They do it for a couple of weeks. They'll do it for 1 or 2 Sundays. But no one's going to do this. No one's going to turn off their fucking phones for a whole day or any of these other things. It's just not what people do. And I know this for a fact. I know they're not going to do it. Millions of people are going to turn off their phones every Sunday now because of Charlie Kirk's book. And you need a whole book to describe why that's important. It's mostly going to be about what you do after you turn off your phone. But, this guy wasn't brilliant. He didn't have great ideas. And, he married this fucking, And so it's an absolute joke. Like, this thing's a joke. It's pointless. It has no value. Just like Candace Owens saying that, this is her goofy revelation was somehow going to lead to the government admitting that the military was a part of the assassination. It's not true. Millions of people are not going to turn off their phones. If you get 2,000 people to do it for a couple of weeks, I'd be surprised. People will read the book. Like you get these self-help books. But I don't even know how many people are going to buy this book because of all the, most people are concerned about the conspiracy around his death, and they're not buying into all this bullshit, right? And so, I mean, who's like, if he sells 50,000 books, how many, what's their goal? 20,000 books, 10,000 books? I mean, people don't read books anymore. Nobody watches their fucking videos anymore. They don't even watch his videos. People need this fucking book in their life telling them to turn off their phone and practice the Sabbath. People want to read that shit. How many people want to read that shit? How many people are going to buy the book and not read it, or read a little bit and throw it, fucking in the shelf? So, I mean, regardless of any of these things, is, I mean, they're getting this free publicity tour on Fox News. I don't think they probably gave Charlie Kirk this many, when he published other books, they gave him this many time slots where she could come and pitch this book. But I mean, it's going to have zero effect on anything, right? Maybe a few people will go without their phone for a couple of Sundays. Okay, there's this.
I have friends who I think would love to do this, especially as you start to get a little bit older and maybe the preteens or early teens and they have phones. Mm-hmm. And parents are looking for a way to get them off their phone. It's very difficult. And do you have any thoughts about that in terms of what it did for your family, even though that your children were younger? It could probably still have the same kind of effect for kids that are.
Oh, well, we don't do screen.
Okay, so the question is, how do you get teenagers to give up their phones? And this is a question, like they have to commit some sort of heinous act. Like they have to do something really bad for you to be able to grab their phone from them, right? Like, but she doesn't do any screen time.
We're not screen time family with the children. I joke around that, yes, Charlie, we did.
Yeah, they're 3 years old. They shouldn't be on fucking screens. I mean, there's the oldest one's 3 years old. The other one's a fucking infant. So yeah, I mean, whenever they get older, like whenever you start to put them on screens, that's going to be your choice. It's very young for people. Some people are putting their toddlers on screens, which is completely fucked. But the question is, what about teenagers?
Watch Charlie's show all the time.
Oh, wait, let's go back. I stepped on that thing a little bit there.
Around that, yes, Charlie, we did.
I go back a little bit further here.
We're not screen time family with the children. I joke around that, yes, Charlie, we did watch Charlie's show all the time.
That's such a good joke. Why is that? Like, we did watch Charlie's show. It's a joke. We're joking around. It's not a joke, Erika. Like, it's not a fucking...
And then Bob Ross for nap-inducing moments. But it was very much so that screens are...
Again, you're not a screen time person, but you need fucking Bob Ross to put your kids to sleep. Jesus Christ, like, that's screen time. And they're getting used to falling asleep in front of a screen, which is not positive, Erika.
That's not where our interaction is. You go to a dinner table, and if someone's on their phone while you're talking to them and having a conversation, they're half listening. So they're physically there.
No, they're not listening at all.
But they're not mentally there. So what kind of conversation is that? And so
boom, she's just dropping the fucking, she's cracked the code. The question was how to get teenagers off their phones. To all these people, they're going to go home and say, hey, I just bought Charlie Kirk's new book, and you guys are not having your phones on Sunday. How do you sell that to your teenagers and not have them have a negative idea about God or the Sabbath or Charlie Kirk or their parents, right? Like, how do you sell this to your kids?
Charlie also realized is the beauty in true, authentic communication that's totally lacking these days. The fact that we can sit here and all have a conversation, the five of us, is amazing. That's actually a rare thing at a dinner table. All of us are focusing on what each person's saying, but when you're at a dinner table in Manhattan and you have kids and family, half of the people have their phones, like it's very disconnected. So maybe...
Yeah, like fucking, really? Wow, you're so insightful. I better get this book. It has fucking quality information like that people are disconnected on their dinner tables because everyone's got their phones out. Wow, that's fucking a breakthrough. They're still going to do it because you're only talking about one day of the Sabbath, right? You're not talking about every day. And so, people do this with their kids, say no phones at the dinner table, right? And that's something people do, whatever it is, Thanksgiving or maybe some days, not other days, who knows? You guys all have your kids and you all have this issue, right? And, she's got nothing. Like, the question was, how do you tell your kids to give up your phone on the Sabbath? And the answer was, my kids don't do screen time, although I do use Bob Ross to put them asleep. And they did watch Charlie Kirk's episodes, even though my daughter's 3 years old and couldn't understand a fucking word he was saying.
Our dinner table should look like this.
Yeah, indeed.
Right.
Tyrus?
So you had no answer for that. You got fucking nothing. Okay, so she's got some demonic eyes, like she's possessed. So the guy asked her how she's holding up with the kids and all this stuff, and their new role and whatever. Post Charlie's death, and she says this.
The leadership team at Turn.
I'll go back just a little bit.
Charlie handpicked the leadership team at Turning Point USA.
Okay, so Tyler Boyer, according to Candace Owens, is the guy who hired all these people, right? So the guy who's accused of having sex with interns, which, hopefully that gets addressed. So he's married to a woman, but we definitely introduced Erika to Charlie. So, if there's anybody who's a Manchurian candidate CIA asset in this, it's her. Like, she just acts like somebody who's, been trained to do this specific position. She's a little bit overzealous. I also want to say something about all these people, because people say, that these people are shills and they're what I just said, they're assets and they're disinformation agents. But like if they send a covert operative out into a spy on people and they go deep undercover, it's just like with the Stanford experiment or any of these types of things that have to do with Stockholm syndrome. People start buying into their roles. I mean, even actors, who get into this, whatever they call that, method acting, where they embrace their role 24 hours a day. They become that person or character, and they're like, it's almost like they're possessed. And so these people all, get competitive and they buy into their bullshit, right? Even if Erika Kirk and Candace Owens are working for the same people to achieve the same goals, they'll get competitive and they'll try to win, and they get disappointed when they are told they're going to lose the election or whatever it might be, right? Whatever their thing is. So it isn't like they're 100% acting, because they start buying into their own bullshit and lies. That's why I'm saying you never get to the truth, because people lose themselves in their own illusions, their own lies, right? But, this...
Turning point action. He knew exactly who needed to be in the leadership roles to get things done, because he also had his radio show and his podcast, and he was traveling on campuses doing...
So he's trusting all these people that eventually... Somebody, they had to be... She had to be involved in... I've said this over and over again. If this is some conspiracy, which, the official story isn't true, which we all know it isn't. And so for her to go on and buy into the official story, like, if you were her and you loved your husband, this was a real marriage, and he was killed, and there was questions about the official story, why would you be the way she's being about it? And why would everyone over there be the way they're being about it, right? So they had to get her on board ahead of time. Like, if this is a conspiracy, which, it looks, I mean, I don't know how it couldn't be, then she had to be bought into it beforehand, which means she didn't love him or wasn't, I mean, who knows what went down with all that. But they probably didn't have a real marriage, and she probably was an agent the whole time they were married.
doing Prove Me Wrongs. So for him, he wanted to make sure that his baby, Turning Point USA and Turning Point Action, they were running smooth.
His baby? Those were his baby? I thought he had kids.
And so he was so instrumental.
They were running smoothly. Okay, so you're not watching the comment section and the view count at your videos? You have no idea how bad this thing is tanking? Like, everybody fucking should know that Turning Point is taking the shitter, right? They're going down the shitter. Like, it is fucking horrible. They got no audience over there. Though your audience is, what you have left is turned on you. Candace Owens is getting, even on the piece of shit video I sent you today, it's got like 1.4, 1.5 million views already. Video, she puts out 5 videos a week, and they're getting, 1 million plus, sometimes 2 million plus. And people are listening to maybe even the whole thing. She probably gets along listening, even though she's full of shit and her videos suck. This video has like 200,000 views. The other video has 100. This one has like 189. The Hannity one has 240,000 views. And the Brian Kilmeade one Kilmeade has 30,000. And so, even these videos on Fox News, they're not getting shit. She's not bringing in the fucking views, right? And again, people watched her live on Fox News, but that doesn't mean they're into her, or they're into this thing, or they like Charlie Kirk, or they're going to buy the book. And so, they got a big payday. They made, millions of dollars. They made $80 million, according to Candace Owens, $100 million, something like that, after Charlie died, which is believable. But now they have no audience. They have no influence. It's in disarray. The people that are out there are not talented. No one likes them. They know, even if they, weren't still upset about Charlie Kirk's, the cover-up, they couldn't generate an audience. These people are horrible. She can't do it. Her fake crying, all that shit. Like, it's a disarray. So to pretend that Charlie put together a crafted team here.
And intentional about who he put in those positions. So I am very blessed to have a team. I cannot do this without my team and my family. I call them my family because they are those staff members.
You know what she said before? That when you get married, your husband and your kids are your family, and your parents and your extended family are now your relatives. Your family is your family of the person you're married to. That's your core family. But now she's saying the 450 employees at Turning Point are always also part of her family, but her mom and dad are relatives, right? So,
Are not employees to me, they're family members. It is not a 9 to 5. It's a mission-driven organization, and everyone that works there is working there because they understand the heart and soul and the DNA of Turning Point USA and Turning Point
it's to bring in as much donations as possible.
Action. They're not there for just getting a paycheck, and it's so.
Okay, so a lot of them are, and a lot of them have left and said that the place is fucked. And one person was on that other show, the Jimmy Dore show, saying she was telling people, don't donate to this fucking place, it's corrupt, when Charlie was still alive. So, it's all bullshit, right? And like Charlie's height of his popularity it's done. Like whatever his arc of being a celebrity. I mean, I know he's dead now, but he was backing Israel, which his audience was turning on, and now everyone knows Trump's a piece of shit. And so, Marjorie Taylor Greene, all this stuff, Trump's like imploding. He imploded on another reporter, which I'll get to probably not in this video, my next video. But he's going after these reporters. It doesn't matter when I cover that, but he's losing his shit. And, it's unraveling for him. And then he's going to get hammered in the midterms, and people are going to hate Trump, and people are going to feel betrayed by Turning Point and Charlie Kirk. He bet on Trump, he bet on Israel, and those were losing bets, right? His big influence was before Trump's election, and then now he's an also ran. I mean, if he was still alive, his Turning Point would still be going south. It was already going south before that, which he recognized because he started to realize he had to get off his 100% backing of whatever Israel did, because he knew he was losing his audience. And so, this is all a joke. I mean, Fox News is owned by Rupert Murdoch, who's a big Zionist himself. But, there's nothing out there. And, like, this is the country's turned on Israel. His viewers have turned on Turning Point, the Turning Point audience. So, like, there's nothing here. And saying that he handpicked all these fucking douchebags over there, they're horrible and everyone can see it, right? You can say words, doesn't make them true, right?
They're not there for just getting a paycheck, and it's so powerful. And Turning Point
So powerful.
USA, I need that organization just as much as this country does, because they are my family, and I know that what my husband started was.
Okay, so that's problematic because, this is going to trigger Candace, because her coming out and verifying, validating all this shit that they're doing over there. Like, everybody knows it's tanking. Like, everybody who's watching it knows that they're being ripped apart. And, like, they've lost 90% of their audience. Or more. Like, and even the ones who are still there are just, hoping that they'll change their mind about the official story and all these things. But her saying they're their family and, all this stuff, they're doing a shitty job, and they all they're complicit in this thing one way or another, right?
Founder-led, and now it's vision-led, and we are all locked in. It's very powerful.
Boom. So very powerful. Again, you can say those words, but they're not true. Just because you say them doesn't make them true. This is my favorite comment. Like, this woman is the best of all these people.
As yours, and I've been overwhelmed by how you have managed this and the grace that you've shown, and in particular.
Look at her. Oh, that was such an bad acting thing.
Someone, I'm a Reformed Jew, not
The
particularly.
way that, look, watch her face here. Like, watch her. I don't want to step on the Reformed Jew. I want to, like, let's go.
That you've shown, and in particular, as someone, I'm a Reformed Jew, not particularly religious, but
Okay, so Erika Kirk's face there, where she goes back and forth. She's a Reformed Jew. What does that mean? What does it mean to be a Reformed Jew? It means that but she says she's not particularly religious. I shit on that thing. So let's just cover her face first here. Like, so.
How you have managed this and the grace that you've shown, and in
See this look.
particular, as someone, I'm.
And then back right out of this intensity, right? And then let's get to the Reformed Jew part here. Like, she's just so fake in the way she acts.
And in particular, as someone, I'm a Reformed Jew, not particularly religious, but I was really struck by you saying just a few days after Charlie was murdered that you forgave Tyler Robinson, the alleged murderer, I think we're still supposed to say.
You're a fucking journalist. You're on the news. The alleged murderer, I think we're supposed to say. Yeah, he's not fucking even close to being convicted. And just because you trust the government, like you guys were anti-government until Trump took over, now you just 100% trust them, and the FBI that you didn't trust when they were all, like every time Trump was accused of something, you said it was alleged, and even after he was convicted, you weren't saying these things about him, even though you turned on him when he lost to Biden. Like, holy shit! Like now you're saying this guy, the alleged shooter. I think we're supposed to say the alleged. Yeah, you're supposed to say that, and she shouldn't forgive the guy because, like, he's not been convicted, and the fucking evidence against him is falling apart, right?
Can you talk to us about how you managed to do that? Because that seems like the number one life lesson that I would love to get from
She
someone.
didn't do it. She's performed.
And how you could find that in
What kind of
yourself.
fucking boots is she wearing here? She wears weird shit.
And you're modeling a Christianity that is so inspirational to me, especially as someone who's not particularly religious.
No, that's very kind. I appreciate that. It's again, I've said this and I'll say it again. That was something I heavily prayed on. I'm not going to say something that I don't believe in, and I wouldn't expect anyone else to. And I wouldn't expect someone to understand my position.
Yeah, was it really that hard to forgive a patsy who didn't really kill your husband when you were compromised and you were part of the plot that killed his? You were some way involved in it, Of course, it's not fucking hard. You fucking lying piece of shit, right?
Especially with something that's as horrific and evil. But at the same time, hate is very powerful from the standpoint of it's all consuming.
It is powerful. Of course it is. She's really into powerful things. All right, there's enough of that shit. Let's let me see if there's anything else here. Then we'll go to Hannity real quick. Okay, so I got through that whole piece of shit interview. She's really horrible. The big winner here is Caroline Levitt, because Caroline Levitt, I used to call her the fake Christian Barbie truther, and she was there's all these people who just don't like that kind of person, right? This fake cheerleading type person. But now Erika Kirk's like, hold my beer, because in terms of fake Barbie Christian truther, she's the best. Caroline Levitt can't hold a candle to her. And so the one thing about that interview is there was no place for Kleenex, and she didn't cry. So I think her crying days are over. I think she's been told, or they've kind of figured out, the crying was getting annoying. The snot rags were becoming a problem, as in my last video when I was tracking them. And so, or my last video with her in it's like 2 videos ago. The one that says tracking her snot rags in the title. But anyways, so here we are. This is this guy here.
Why honoring the Sabbath will transform your life. By the way, you can get it. You go to 45books.com. You can get a copy. It's all new. This book is encouraging all of us one day a week to turn this off.
Charlie's final book is a manifesto against the machine of modern life, encouraging his followers to stop in the name of God and honors the Sabbath. He has barely any followers left. And Erika J. Kirk, here she is.
Joins us now for this interview. It's so good to see you. I got to spend
Likewise.
time with you earlier today.
I loved it.
You stuck with me twice.
We're stuck. Our whole team is all stuck together. For
Yeah,
it's
we
all
got
good.
Mikey taking a million
Right.
videos over there.
Mikey McCoy's there. Fucking Mikey. Is that his real name? Michael J. McCoy.
Before we talk about the book, which is really, I think, can transform people's lives.
Absolutely.
How are you doing? How are the kids?
Doing the best you could expect. God is good, and we have the most.
God is good until he killed my husband. God is good until he had the Zionists kill my husband.
Amazing Turning Point USA family. They've rallied around myself, my children, and chosen family is everything. And then of course we're blessed with our family itself. But
yeah, a real family, not the fucking people that helped me stab Charlie Kirk in the back for hundreds of millions of shekels.
Like you, Ainsley, it's priceless.
It's just priceless.
Priceless.
You go through this period and they have the shock of something like this happen.
Right.
We all try to relate to people. I don't know if you...
No Kleenexes, right? So this was, why wouldn't you have Kleenexes for her? Somewhere there, right? Unless she said she brought her own snot rags this time. Bring your own snot rag on Hannity. But, you know, like, this is the thing where it's like, all right, you can't cry anymore. You're selling Charlie's book. It's been 3 months. The crying's getting annoying. Stop dabbing the corners of your eyes. You know, like they have this whole thing, right? It's completely contrived. The last interview, they had snot rags on the table. She took one, dabbed her eyes, and didn't know what to do with it. You know, and then now it's like, all right, enough of that shit, right? And so then, like, she can't be her laughing. You know, her best, I mean, she's one of those people, she doesn't have an annoying laugh like Kamala, but she laughs at inappropriate times. Like, she's smiling and laughing and giggling like, you know, girls flirting with some guy that's not funny, but everything he says to her is funny, right? Like that kind of thing, like some kind of beta sex kitten thing.
I really could relate to this. And then all of a sudden, there are moments where you just like
she has like fucking the eyes of Satan. I mean, those fucking things, right? That's Children of the Corn shit.
The reality hits you. He's not coming.
I haven't seen those movies, but I make reference to it all the time. Right?
Home.
Right. The permanency, I will always struggle with the permanency. It's the love of my life. I still talk to him every single day, as if when I'm getting ready in the morning, when I'm getting ready to go to bed, when I'm just going about.
Is that Charlie you're talking to, or is it the enemy pretending to be Charlie?
About my day, I still feel him so much with me.
I do. I still do. I still feel him. I feel him with me every day. She's so bad at this. Like, just, you know, take some fucking acting classes.
And I just. Again, the permanency will never settle in.
You know, we talked.
It's totally settling. Well, how many years you give it? Like, when is she going to get remarried to a girl? No, it's going to be a guy. Maybe it's going to be one of these, you know, closeted gay dudes that work there.
A little about this on radio today, but when you think of heaven, and as a Christian, I believe in heaven, Jesus on the cross says to a person to his left, this day you will be with me in paradise.
Yeah.
The eye hath not seen, the ear hath not heard, nor has it entered into the hearts of man what God has in store for those who love the truth. I say at the end of my show, hopefully you stay up once in a while, let not your heart...
I do. I watch it all the time, even though I don't have a TV.
Heart be troubled.
Yes.
But the verse goes on, in my Father's house are many mansions.
Amen.
And I go
Amen. Amen, Sean. Bring it, fucking Sean. Amen.
to prepare a place for you so that where I am, you shall also be.
Amen.
Does that
Yeah.
give you comfort?
It does.
Those words?
And my daughter and I, we've talked about this at night. She would ask, what do you think Daddy did today in heaven? And I'll have her relay that back to me, or, you know, we've come to the understanding.
What do you mean you'll have that relay that back to me? What? What did that even fucking mean? That made no sense.
What do you think Daddy did today in heaven? And I'll have her relay that back to me, or, you know, we've come to the understanding.
Doesn't have a body. He's a disembodied soul. You guys can't wrap your mind around that. Like, you don't have a body. You left your body behind. This is the fucking dork he was before. And now he's just a disembodied soul. If you believe in a soul, whatever it is, you know, heaven or not, whatever you believe in, there's no physical reality there. So what did Daddy do today? There's no day. There's no night. There's no time. There's none of those things, right? Time doesn't exist because there's no linear material world to make it exist. The world isn't spinning, and isn't spinning in heaven because the earth is flat there. You know, there's no material days or nights or any of these things, right? And so there's no firmament. There's no bullshit. And so I'm just throwing that out there. Can't say firmament enough to trigger the fucking, you know who I'm talking, the flat earthers. Flat earthers. So if you don't have a body, then there's no way to describe what happens, right? Like, there's no way to imagine life without a body. In fact, you know, your life, you know, with a body and with physical reality, like, it's hard to imagine life with no eyesight or no ears, you know, no hearing, no sense of touch, no, you know, appetite. You're not eating any food. You can't see anything. You can't feel anything physically, right? So you have no idea what it's like. And there's no days, there's no nights, there's no anything. And so it's silly.
Explain this to her, that Daddy's still with us. He's just in a different location, and he's building us a home in heaven. And I've said this before, but
Yeah,
she's
that's fucking, you're lying to her. There's no fucking home. Where do you need a home if you don't have a body? What do you need a fucking home for? You can go anywhere you want, be anywhere you want. You know, you can move by the speed of thought, right? Which is faster than the speed of light. You can just be anywhere physically. No, right? Not anywhere physically, but, you know, in spirit. And so it's a completely different experience that we don't have a reference point. When you meditate, you can get in touch with that part of yourself where you forget your physical body and you have these moments. But it's hard. It's like, you know, when you're sleeping, you're in dreamland and you remember some of your dreams. Or when you meditate and you experience the etheric worlds, it's hard to, you know, contrast that experience with your material existence, right? It's like the difference between, you know, being in the water and being on land. You can remember it's like being into water, but until you're in the water, you know, then you're like, oh yeah, that's what it's like, right? And whether the water's cold or it's warm or, you know, what's in the water with you, you know, like those things.
said, I can't wait to go. I said, me too, baby.
Me too, baby. I can't wait to go. Hey, her daughter is already, like, they need to be on suicide watch. They both are indicating they can't wait to die and go to heaven.
Yeah.
Me too. Me too.
This is an amazing message.
Okay, so let's fast. I'm gonna find interesting. There's one interesting part, and maybe that's it. I don't know. She's just abhorrent.
What a powerful message that he's sending. Turn off your phone Friday night at sunset. Don't turn it back on till Saturday night at sunset.
Holy shit! Kaboom! Fucking kaboom! The Sabbath is Saturday for Charlie, right? So Christians, it's Sunday. And the Old Testament's a piece of shit book. So he was so indoctrinated into Judaism and his, you know, Zionism that he's calling the Shabbat, the Old Testament, the real Sabbath. And that Sunday isn't the real Sabbath, right? So you turn your phone back on, it's Saturday evening, and then you have it all day Sunday? Like, that's fucked. I mean, I knew he practiced the Shabbat, but this is fucked, right? And like he's, you know, talks about him being a biblical scholar, but, you know, what none of these guys get, and this is like valuable information for anybody who's a Christian, anybody who claims to love Jesus. I mean, this is, you know, something I learned early on, the Sajmark system, which is just, it makes total sense. You know, Jesus was born a Jew, but he wasn't a Jew when he died. He was a spiritual person. He wasn't a Christian either. There was no religion. And so he transcended his religion, where you're born into a religion, which is great. You know, this famous Swami Vivekananda quote, a religion is a great thing to be born into, but a horrible thing to die in. And the quote is significant because it means that, you know, you get a lot of things from a religion. As a child, right? You get childlike things, an understanding of God. But then as you grow older, you become a person who has a full-out relationship with the divinity within you. And you become spiritual. And God is no longer in heaven. God is with you all the time. And that's what spiritual, when you're spiritual, then there is no such thing as heaven because, you know, heaven is, you know, the kingdom of heaven is within, as Jesus said, right? And so all these people who have done that, and some of them are Christians, you know, they still believe in heaven and stupid bullshit thing because they still subscribe to the religion, but they actually have a relationship with God. They have some internal relationship. She tries to talk about it being that way, but then you have to embrace this idea that the religion is left behind. You know, whatever stuff that was in the religion was good for you as a child, but now you have to go and get direct information from God and connect to the divinity within you. And then there's no heaven, there's no hell, there's just you and your relationship with God, right? And for him to practice the Sabbath, like, holy fuck, on Saturday, like, that's not even honoring Jesus and the religion. He's regressing and going back to the bullshit Old Testament filled with its obsession with foreskins and circumcision and child and animal sacrifice and all the other bullshit that I've, you know, talked about in past stuff here. Okay, so she has this kind of weird interaction on Fox and Friends. My wife watched it last night, and it came up on Twitter for her, and she showed it to me, and then I said, send me that. I thought it was this one. She does cry. It's Fox and Friends. So so crying isn't completely over. But for most of these shows, it is. You know, she's gonna she's got to reduce the fucking bullshit crying. But she says something here. I want to go through these things quickly because
I think that it could be shocking to most people. How did it work in your life?
Well, let me just explain first how much time and effort went into this book. Charlie he didn't write this book without doing what he's talking about in this book. That's not the way he operates.
You mean he didn't tell everyone to turn off their phones and then not do it? So it's not a completely bullshit book. It's not a complete 100% bullshit book where he didn't turn off his phone and wasn't doing this and wasn't practicing it. He just wrote a book to tell people to do it but didn't do it himself. I mean, even that sounds sketchy because it makes it sound like he could have done that and that would have been, no one's really going to do this. If he didn't do it, then who would? Like the guy who wrote the book doesn't do it.
He learned as much as he could about this topic. We have over 50 books on our bookshelf about the Sabbath. He wanted to know it so deeply, and he saw the fruit of what it was like to actually detach from the world, stop the noise, stop the scrolling, and just put pause on everything and focus on your family. And he was, at first,
Wait, are you doing this? What about you, Monica, Erika? What about you? Are you doing this? Do you put your phone in the drawer on the Sabbath?
Started with an hour, 2 hours, but then once he fully incorporated it into his life, he totally elevated. He became a next level husband, which I didn't even think was possible because he was already so incredible to me.
He was already an incredible husband.
Babies, but I saw how this changed his life, and it's something so simple, just turning your phone off or detaching from.
Because she said he would put his phone in the drawer, but did you do that with your phone? What do you do? Your son. What about your experience with this? Did you do it right? If he couldn't convince you to do it, and you saw how great it was for him, then how the hell is he's going to convince anybody else?
TV or your daily life, and just taking a minute to pause and breathe and understanding how important family is and putting into perspective the battle's already won. Just love.
Okay, so I don't think she does. She's talking about her experience. Now I have to go through all these things to see because I want to know if somebody asks her that. Let's see. Let's go through the rest of this. Then I want to get to the morning one. Okay, so she takes a shot at Erika Kirk and her followers and her, former TPUS gay followers, because this is what she says.
And time on this earth is so limited. You and I both know that, and now we see it in Technicolor with what happened to my husband. But time is so precious. And so are you going to spend that time investing into your family, investing into the eternal things, investing into things that you will have in heaven? Or are you going to waste that time getting in internet debates and, going down rabbit holes?
Going down rabbit holes. She's actually before that. Let me go back even further here. That's a shot at all the people who are, who are saying that the rabbit holes of Charlie Kirk's assassination. But, not so fast there, Cookie, right?
It's for your family and for your company and for XYZ. If you are so inundated with whatever the enemy wants you to have. I mean, we talked about this earlier.
So the enemy conspiracy theorists and people on the internet, right? Charlie existed on the internet. I mean, all of his shit was internet related. People watched his show. You guys still have his YouTube channel, and you're all over Instagram, posting your weird shit at Instagram. Social media was what you guys used, and it's the way you connected with young people. And all those people out there who went to your events were on their phones, usually recording what was going on there at TPUS gay events with Charlie. And so the internet's been largely responsible for this uprising, and then also fact-checking all the shit that has gone on with the lies from the government and media. And so for you to talk about going down rabbit holes, of course, Candace Owens is a lying piece of shit, but that's, whatever that is. And, turn off your phones because the enemy wants you to inundate you and be with your family. Yeah, that's good advice. But then you wouldn't have anybody, right? You wouldn't have a following. Like if everyone just turned off the internet and just went back and living on a local basis, you wouldn't be getting hundreds of millions of dollars from fucking a foreign country to sell out your country. Biatch, right? And then to shit on your fans like that, going down rabbit holes. So in the first two interviews, she doesn't mention herself doing this practice, which would be important. Saying, I mean, he convinced me to do it, or whatever it is, right? She talks about him putting away his phone, but not her. And so the whole thing seems pretty bullshit, right? Because why wouldn't she be doing it? And does she do it now? And, whatever it is. Like, why, now that she's gone, she could talk about that. I mean, she loves to put herself in the story. But either way, and I don't know, I didn't watch the beginning of this, but here's the...
Doing the best to be expected. My mom and Charlie, they were best friends. I would always say that Charlie was her favorite child. But
yeah, we've heard that before with your fucking bullshit smile. Yeah, we've heard it. You do always say that because I've heard it like 4 fucking times.
the thing that was so special about our Sabbath dinners was that it wasn't about religious protocol. Right. It was literally going to my mom's house. My mom's battling a very rare illness. It was literally going to my mom's house for dinner with my mom. It was, again, bridging that generational gap where my kids don't have phones, they're not looking at iPads, they're not looking at screens. We're sitting together and we're talking and we're loving on each other. How was your week? What were your wins? What are you grateful for? We went around the table and talked about that.
Okay, what's going around the table? Because you and Charlie you didn't talk at all before that, so you guys know what's up with each other. Your 3-year-old can't engage in this conversation. Your 1-year-old certainly can't. And your mom's like half dead with some rare fucking disease with tubes coming out of her nose and fucking a diaper on. So, like, what are you talking about, right? Was your dad there? Who else was there?
And that was what was so special about our Friday nights. And Charlie was like, we have our Friday nights. But it's interesting. What I miss the most, what really just hits me hard is when I'm in the grocery store and I see his hot sauce. I want to buy it. Or it's the little things, his clothes everywhere.
He's a fucking slob, that guy.
Excuse me, but...
Boom, bring out the Snotrags. There it is.
It's the little things, and I know that people who have experienced loss totally understand what I'm saying. It's the small things that just get you. It's the visual of, Daddy coming home, and to the world he was Charlie Kirk, but to us he was my love of my life. And my children's dad. I'm so sorry.
I'm so sorry that I'm crying here. I'm so sorry. That's going to make me cry more. How sorry I am that I'm crying.
Understandable. Excuse me, but it's those little things where, again, he would walk through the door, drop his bags, Daddy's home, take his phone, Friday night, Shabbat Shalom, throw it in the junk drawer, and it was just all us. And
okay, where was your phone, though? Shabbat Shalom. Fucking weird shit. Fucking Shabbat Shalom, you Christian, fake Christian, fucking Judas motherfuckers. Right? What is Shabbat Shalom? Throw the phone in the drawer. Count your shekels first. Open your phone up, count your shekels, and then throw it in the drawer. And Shabbat, where's your phone? Your phone was already in the drawer? When did you put your phone in the drawer? So, I mean, what was your experience with Shabbat?
What I always wanted to make so special for him was coming home. I'd always say, baby, I don't care what time you get home.
I don't care, baby. No, baby.
Home is here for you. Your food will never be cold. It might sit out for a little bit, but I'll reheat it. It's fine. And I just want to encourage spouses, don't get mad. It's so easy. Don't do it.
Don't do it. Fucking don't do it. Don't get mad at your spouse. He throws his shit all over the floor. He comes home. Fucking after he's been having sex with one of his buddies at work. And
here's an excerpt from the forward in your book. You write this: I knew Charlie so deeply in a way no one could. That is why I can say with certainty these pages are not theory for him. They are testimony. The words you hold in your hands were the convictions he lived by that were written on his heart. Looking back now, I see the book as one of Charlie's most enduring gifts to the world. He did not know how brief his time on earth would be. None of us did. But the truths...
Okay, Jesus Christ. Let's go to here.
Written in this book are not bound by time. They will outlive us all, as will the legacy of his faith. And in the book, he goes into details about the Bible.
Yes, he does. He does.
He does do that.
It's really
He
powerful.
does go into details. He does. No, I'm serious. This is a book about the Bible, and he actually talks about the Bible and goes into details about it. He does do that shit.
He became a subject matter expert, if you will. We have
50 plus books on our bookshelf about the Sabbath, and he spent a lot of
Shabbat Shalom.
time talking to Dennis Prager about this. He
Is he not the guy in charge of Prather University? That's a Jewish university, so I'm not sure. That's what I've heard before. Him and Candace both work with them, or she did. Come on, fuck. She's so fucking weird, so fake. But I don't think anything here. She says anything about her putting her phone away, right? Like, what was it like for you to put your phone away? What was it like for you not to have a phone all day Saturday? Okay. So she reads this passage. Sean Hannity read the exact same passage. And, let's just go into it here.
On show, you said you haven't been able to read the end of the book yet. You're not there yet.
I'm not.
I'm not there yet. I'm not there.
There's so many, you only get so many firsts and lasts in your life.
Yeah.
And so for me, this is one all tied together. It's the
Right.
first that I'm reading my husband's last and final book
Yeah.
that he wrote. And when you finish that, that's the last time you read it.
Yeah, well, he wrote.
Exactly. It's almost like, it's almost as bad as him getting shot in the neck. Right? It's like, when I read these last 2 pages, he'll really be dead.
I mean, you
In
read it
the
again,
end,
but it's
yeah.
the last first.
Yeah, I loved this that he said. The Sabbath is God's answer to a culture spinning out of control.
Like everything that she says is so like fucking like Hallmark card bullshit fucking bumper sticker things calculated. Like everything she does, every little plan, it's like, I think she probably has OCD, but here.
It is his ancient rhythm of sanity, planted like an anchor in a world swept away by currents of chaos. 6 days we work, build, create, engage. On the 7th day we stop, but not because we're weak. We stop because we're human. We don't rest because we're lazy. We rest because we're obedient. How did y'all do this? Because we were talking, I'd love to do this.
No, so again, Charlie.
She could have said about herself doing it, but she hasn't. But then she goes into how
he took his time going into this, but he didn't write this because he needed to figure it out. He wrote this because it was already figured out, and he saw, wow, this changed and impacted my life. But I have to tell you something. I've really been praying about this because I feel as if Charlie wrote this book for me.
And so you guys shouldn't buy it because it really sucks. But for me, it's special.
They're his last words written that were on his heart. He finished this in July when we were together as a family. And I can't help but think, when you read this book, he's basically saying, like, I am getting so much noise from everyone. And you guys get this too.
I know you
You
are.
get the echo chamber. You get people analyzing everything about you. They think they know everything about you. They know nothing about you.
Well, maybe you should show more than this fake fucking person that you've become. Your whole fucking fake everything that you do that's so contrived and not sincere or authentic.
They see you on TV, they think, oh, she's this, she's that. He said this, he said that. And honestly, it's Charlie saying, baby E, just stop. Stop. You don't have to answer to every single person that's accusing you of things or saying that you're doing this or grieving a certain way.
Unless you're subpoenaed by a grand jury for your husband's murder. Other than that, just fucking don't say anything.
Baby, just stop. You know who
Stop, baby, stop.
you are and whose you are, and I'm here. I see you. And if Charlie, and I'm taking a page out of his book, if he answered to every single critic and didn't stop and put his phone down and breathe and rest with the Lord, he'd get nothing done. He would not have built Turning Point USA.
Exactly. So he didn't have to answer every critic, and I'm not going to do it either. Even though my fucking YouTube channel's imploding and everything that we're doing is fucking going tits up, I'm not fucking doing that, and I'm not going to do the Sabbath either because I fucking like my phone on Friday and Saturday too.
And
Turning Point action.
And I read in your book that in Charlie's book, when he said, at first, when Dennis Prager, I guess, played a big role in that.
He did. Dennis
he said,
did.
"Well, what an unbelievably bright individual, great
Dennis
guy."
is precious.
And he said, you got to do this. And he thought, how can I do this with the president calls? He's running Turning Point Action, Turning Point. I got to set up this college tour. If I shut off my phone, how many things wouldn't get done? And then when he shut it down and then put it on, there was only 2 messages.
But if you think about it, people,
and it's true, though.
you're almost like training the people around you to say, hey, this is how life used to be. You left the office at 5. No one could reach you.
Yeah.
All right, so fucking whatever. All right. Again, I'll go through this thing, but she doesn't say anything about herself doing it, and she's just so fucking fake. I mean, it's just like, the crying is coming to an end, and they didn't really engage with her crying. She apologized a lot, but I think they're all over it, right? It's uncomfortable to be around people crying. It's 3 months into this fucking thing, right? We're in fucking December. I mean, it's Christmas time. This happened in September. So, I mean, it's fucking a long time going. And Iraq is wearing thin on everybody. She's got this book tour, and then where does she go from there, right? So some of the things she's unwilling to address because of the Sabbath is that it doesn't seem that he has a burial spot, and he didn't have a real funeral. He had that gaudy, Trump paid for fucking political event that she forgave the fucking patsy.
Parents are private. We saw them for the first time.
Let's go back a little bit here.
For all of us, right?
I know.
You did, and he was taken so early. What do you miss most? How are his parents doing? Because his parents are private. We saw them for the first time at the funeral.
Yes.
You did such a beautiful job there. How are all of y'all doing? You talk a little bit about the kids, but how's your mom doing? I mean, I know she's devastated for you.
Oh, my mom. So again, they're confirming that was the funeral, the one that all these people attended, all these fucking, celebrities, all this stuff, all the fucking bullshit talks, and I mean that was horrific. The sparklers, all that shit, and apparently he doesn't have a burial site, and why not make that public? You make everything else, people would go to it and pray, whatever. I mean, you're trying to turn this guy into a martyr, and so I mean, it doesn't appear there's a burial site. A lot of fucking shady shit, right? Doesn't ever talk about his parents.
Is Charlie and my mom. Well, Charlie's family's there. Everyone's hanging in there. We're doing the best to be expected. My mom and Charlie, they were best friends. I would always say that Charlie was her favorite child. But
Oh, jeez.
the thing that was so special.
So this is where she gets into that shit there. Okay, boom, fucking boom, fucking boom. We have a Snotrag sighting.
So quickly because he was so direct. The Lord knew I needed a man that was not going to mess around. That was
Boom. There it is in her hand.
not going to say, let's see where it goes. Let's go get coffee. Let's go get drinks. We never drank. It was like one of those things where it was like,
Boom.
no,
The Lord said it. I need him fucking.
no. I want to date you. I want to marry you. I'm pursuing you intentionally. And that's what's so important for.
And then I want you to kill me. I want you to conspire to kill me. And that's just exactly the kind of man I needed.
A lot of young people today that are looking for their spouses, don't waste your time. The right person will literally say, I know that this is something special. Let's honor the Lord. Let's do this right. I'm not going to treat my boyfriend like my fiance and my fiance like my husband.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to do this the right way. And that's what we did. And we just wanted our relationship to always honor and glorify the Lord.
Erika,
Boom. Exactly. Okay, here it comes. I'm like as excited and happy as I could be for an Erika Kirk segment. This is wonderful. Watch the Snotrag. It's right here. Giant fucking colossal cursor nose. It's right
Walk
here,
us
right?
through.
Boom. She's going to touch her
It's
eyes.
something that Ainsley,
She's gonna touch her eyes.
Brian have talked about forgiveness.
She shoved it in the crease of the couch. Like, who's going to pick that fucking thing out of there? Who's going to take that out? Like, why? Look at her. Did she not see it out of the corner of her eyes? Look at this fucking guy going. Did she fucking just do that? Did she just stuff her fucking COVID-filled snot rag into our fucking couch area? What fucking intern's going to have to grab that fucking piece of shit thing? Like, let's watch it again. Let's slow this down. Turn this fucking guy off. All right, here we go. Playback speed 25. All right, so go back here. She's got it. Okay, she's going to go up to her eyes. Watch it, slow motion. She's listening to him. She's also dabbing her eyes, trying to sound interested. Okay, she's been on and off crying. Like they let her cry here more than the other. It's a little bit more friendly in the morning. And then she's going to go, boom, fucking bring it. And then she's going to stuff it right down in the fucking crack. Get in there. Stuff it right in that fucking crack. And bring her hand up like you didn't do it, but we fucking saw you. We fucking saw you do it, bro. You fucking... Like, let's see if they say anything here. Where's the playback speed? Here we go. Normal.
And it's for us on a
That
personal
moment at the
level.
funeral.
We can't forgive people for less, but you had so much. How did you get to that point where you could forgive on a national?
You know, and I'd just like to say I forgive you for stuffing that fucking Snotrag in a couch that we sit on. It was fucking gross as shit.
Stage.
Like I told Andrew, that was something that was a game time decision. I'm not going to just say, words are so powerful.
It's a game time decision. Like I was leaving it as a possibility. So it's premeditated that I might do it. And I wanted to do it in front of everybody because that would be fucking really powerful instead of doing it in my heart on my own with God and Jesus and all the things. And I'm forgiving a guy who's, a patsy. He's not even really guilty of anything. So, I mean, that made it a lot easier. Like, fucking Jesus Christ. And you just stuff a snot rag in the couch, bitch.
I mean, God created the world with words. Words are very, very powerful. And
No, he didn't. He didn't create the world with words. You think he said, let it be, right?
Me, I'm never going to say something I don't mean. Charlie was the same exact way. He would tell you just how it is.
Until he changed his opinion on Israel because he was taking all those shekels, but then all his fans turned on him and he didn't know what to do because he was saying a bunch of shit because he was getting paid to say it. Because, he's a fucking shill and he's Charlie Shekels. And you're Erika Shekels because you knew he was getting whacked because they wouldn't have done it without fucking having you on board. Okay, if you look right here, see this? There's a crack. See how there's a sectional sofa. It's round. And in between the sections, there is this crack here. And in this particular crack, there is this woman's fucking mucus on a piece of paper. And it's being jammed in there in a disrespectful way. And so this fucking guy here.
Like, that's what I...
Let's go a little bit back here. This is right after she talked about forgiveness.
It's one of those things where people need to understand that hate is very...
She's touching her with a snot rag hand. She just had that snot rag that she was using. She shoved it in the couch, and now she's got it on this girl's hand.
very powerful, but love is more powerful.
So how interested are you in what went off in this guy, the suspect, that allowed him to do such a heinous act?
Okay, so again, the TPUS gay people are always saying, let's not contaminate the jury and affect the case by talking about it. And yet they keep on talking about this like he's already been convicted. And the evidence is just not there, right? Especially the murder weapon. If the murder weapon wasn't his grandfather's rifle, it had to be because he's up on the roof. They've placed this guy in the roof. So he had to use a fucking high-powered rifle. And if you didn't use a .22 or some fucking lower, any kind of a larger caliber bullet would have went through Charlie Kirk's, his neck and then somewhere else. It wouldn't have just stuck in his neck, right? And so they got a fucking caliber problem. They got a bullet problem. And yet they keep on talking about this guy like he's, convicted.
Like that's what I ask myself almost every day. What prompted that individual to get on that roof and end your husband's life? Do you have questions about that?
You guys are just so wonderful journalists.
Or have you just socked that away and leave it to the lawyers?
No, if you think about it, everything starts small, okay? So when you start believing in something or diving into something, it starts with a small little seed. So is that seed going to be...
Or a little bit of fur.
something that was planted and go towards the light and go towards the Lord? Or is that seed that's planted that's going to go towards evil and darkness? And it starts with one little inch that just keeps growing and growing and growing. And you have a choice in life. And again, Charlie was trying to save the exact man that murdered him.
Okay, again, fucking convicting him. The exact man who murdered him? Like, again, you're saying he did it when... this is the bullshit, right? Like, it's obvious that he gets a fair trial. This is fucking America, right? You're presumed innocent. You're fucking presumed innocent. This guy's innocent to proven guilty. And the people who are saying he's guilty are all the pieces of shit that nobody trusts, right? And so to come out here and say that he's fucking, he murdered him like it's a fact, he could sue you. Like, that's fucking slander. You snot rag sticking fucking couch sticking bitch.
Trying to reach that generation and say, there is a different way to live. There is a way better and healthier and pure and beautiful truthful way to live. Why are you wasting your time with brain rot? Why are you wasting your time with things you know are so unhealthy, so unproductive, so divisive, so evil, when there's so many other things you can be focusing on that you can build and that you can harness for good? Why are you wasting your short time? My husband lived for 31 years. That's it.
And he was a shackled up piece of shit shill for a good portion of them that canceled people, according to, and employed a lot of guys who were gay that pretended to be right-wing Republicans. And, you know, all the things that Milo said he was.
We don't have a lot of time here at all, but if you spend that time on
Get
things
another snot rag. I feel like that she's going to have to stuff another snot rag in it.
that are beautiful and true and good, that is how our country can heal and start going forward in a way, in a direction that we never thought could be possible.
All right, shut the fuck up. All right, here this woman reaches for her. Boom, watch.
Going to be the naysayers. They're going to be the people that might question this or that about that day. And we know some of those headlines. But it's always bigger in your head.
Wait, let's go back. She might have said something to this. Here.
Possible, because the Lord can use that. If you just let that little seed in your life go towards hate and evil, we're on a totally different path.
Yeah. You know,
You know, look at her. Look at that fake. That's her fake act.
we're watching you go
Boom. Snot rag hand. Snot rag hand to snot rag hand.
through all of this. And I want you to know there are always going to be the naysayers. They're going to be the people that might question this or that about that day. And we know some of those headlines. But it's always bigger in your head. Someone told me that when I got into this business. It's always bigger in your head than it is to the rest. Because most of the people aren't following the headlines or like you are.
She's got her own snot rag here.
Or like we are.
Boom, she's got a snot rag there.
And when I got in the business, people would write, not to make it about me, I'm just trying to say this to help you. They would write the most negative things. And I would just be so upset about it.
It's hurtful.
I'm like,
It's hurtful. It is.
trying to be this good Christian girl.
Right.
Exactly, I'm
I
trying.
make mistakes every day.
I
I
do.
sin.
We all do.
But
No,
I'm
I'm a
reading-
sinner. I'm a fucking sinner. I mean, I don't know. I did 5 guys in a fucking restroom one time. I don't know. I'm a sinner.
negative things, and it really, really bothered me, especially the personal ones when I'm going through
Except personal ones are the worst. Amen, sister.
the deepest things. But then I realized they don't know me. Even the ones who
They don't know me.
Bless their
They don't
heart.
know that they don't know that I stick snot rags in cracks of couches.
They don't really know us
they
either.
don't.
They don't know you. They don't know you at all. Girlfriend.
People who really matter are our God,
Amen.
our
Boom.
family, the people
Yes.
who do know us. And that's
Yeah,
all
look at
that
her.
matters.
That's all that matters.
So,
Boom.
so all the negative press, I think Charlie's right. I think Charlie's teaching you this week.
I know.
Yeah.
Just saying stop. You don't have to
Cease.
respond to every single
Yeah.
thing.
Like, you know, the fact that there's no real evidence supporting this guy. I mean, it's all contrived bullshit that no one buys into. That all the people that were his contemporaries don't buy the official story. Like, anybody with half a fucking brain wouldn't buy this fucking bullshit thing. And that, you know, you guys are perpetrating a fraud on your viewers.
Yeah, I mean, it is
focus
nasty
on the
out there.
Because they're
Focus.
5% of the people
I know.
that might not like Charlie's message. The rest of the country, they
95% like Charlie's message. 95% like Charlie's message. Only 5% didn't. You fuck.
they might not always agree, but they're proud of him for standing up. They're heartbroken for you and your family. That's
95% of people are heartbroken. Only the 5% that follow Candace Owens, who are you've shared an audience with you, and they're going on and trolling your fucking show because your guys' show sucks.
normal. That's what a human being does.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Yes.
You're
Erika,
right.
can you talk about the next phase of Turning Point? Because
You guys suck right now. It's like fucking nobody's watching you. You've lost your audience. Your fucking guys out there suck. You're getting ratioed in your comment section. Candace Owens is taking it to you guys.
focus on young men. There's a crisis going on in the country when it comes to young men. Abandonment, weren't taking their places in the household. And now you're focused on young women.
Correct.
Okay,
How's
that's going to go over great.
that task been?
Look, she's got her snot rag. She's playing with it. She's fucking doing weird shit with it. Look at it.
You've
Look
always
at
been
her.
a
Look at
writer.
that
You've
shit.
always had things to say.
What's
but
wrong with this
you
bitch right
kinda
here?
focus on the family.
She's like fucking
Well,
playing with that snot rag, right? I mean, she sticks it into fucking crevices. This bitch, she's got to fucking finger the thing. Make sure she like massages her own fucking mucus. It's fucking gross. This thing's going south. I mean,
for a long time. People that knew you, we knew that you had all these thoughts. But how is the leadership role
Jesus
been
Christ,
for
what's wrong
you
with this
now?
bitch?
It's powerful because
Look.
there was no daylight between Charlie
Oh,
and
come
I.
on. Fucking.
And so I witnessed everything firsthand, front row seat. Charlie did have a phenomenal way of communicating with the young men.
Okay, fucking, it's over.
Precious students. The mother bear inside of me is like, if you want to go after these kids, if you want to go after the youth, you have to go through me. I'm not going to let you touch these kids. On college campus, we just had
They're going to have to go through her.
Governor Abbott in Texas. We have other governors throughout the country that are saying Club America will be on our high school campuses. That is unbelievable.
Right.
Because that means that these kids, male, female, have the opportunity to be exposed to the truth, learn how to debate, learn how to stand for their convictions and what.
All right, fuck this stuff. There's no more Snotrag shit going on here. All right, I don't think I can get through the fucking Joe Kilmarty, whatever that guy's sitting on her left. She does a podcast thing with him. I might look at it if there's like Snotrag stuff. I'll go for the Snotrag. If there's not, well, let's go see. And if not, I'll come back and tell you there's no Snotrag. But we do know she did something really gross, and Ainsley, whatever the fuck her name is, she's got weird shit with her Snotrag, and it's very unhygienic. Okay, so one last thing here. Here's the end. She's smiling, of course. So she has an opportunity to go retrieve her Snotrag, so some intern or some cleaning person doesn't have to do it. And somebody saw it. Like there's somebody there. I'm sure somebody's grossed out on set about it, right? And so
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
right.
So like here they're going. She doesn't reach down and grab it.
More Fox and Friends in just a moment.
I'm Steve Ducey.
Okay,
I'm Brian
fuck this.
Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And
Brian Kilmeade. Brian Kilmeade. That's very provocative name. And so doesn't go for it, right? Like she doesn't say, "All right, I'm going to go grab this thing because I don't want anybody else to have to touch my snot. Sorry that it's on the fucking couch now." Like some germaphobes. I mean, but just fucking gross, right? It's just gross here, right? And she's just so fucking weird. All right. Let me check this. They do a radio interview with him. And I don't think I can make it through much of it, but I will. I'm just going to scan it to see if there's any Snotrag activity. Because, she has nothing to say. And we got that here about her. Like, she took shots at, people who are critical. And, the whole thing about it is you've lost your audience. You don't have any influence. Nobody's watching your shit. They might go to some of your rallies, so you might sell whatever books. And then you're dead in the water without being influential. I can't imagine unless they're laundering money through your organization. And I don't see how that's, you being out in the public or whatever. And so you have to make money. You have to bring in donations, and you have to get people to watch your videos and your podcasts and your other shit. They're not watching it, and you've lost all of this, right? And when this trial thing happens, like it's just going to get worse and worse because people know that this guy's a fucking patsy. You guys are pushing the official story. And, it's never going to come back in terms of, like they're not going to admit that the official story is bullshit, but everybody fucking knows. Okay, no Snotrag activity. And I don't think there's going to be that because this guy's more fucking, he's more of their pit bull over there. And they're going to try to do a hit piece on Candace Owens here. And it's not really Candace Owens. It's all the people who don't believe in the official story.
Are you in the investigation about what goes on? Like, what role does that play in everything that you think about?
No, it's a great question. We have a phenomenal team. I am in contact with our attorneys and the prosecutors basically daily, being like, anything new.
So if you're looking for anything new, then it's not a slam dunk. You shouldn't call him your murderer. What do you mean? You're looking for something new? I thought you had enough evidence to make it. It's a very compelling case.
No, without a shadow of a doubt, with the evidence that we have, that we're moving in the correct direction. I
And
trust our team with full stop.
Full stop.
Is part of it because you know who Kash Patel is and Dan Bongino is at the head, or is it your
It's not even that. When you have the truth and the facts, you don't need anything else. I've seen the autopsy report. I've seen all of that.
So you're saying that the autopsy report reveals that he was hit by a 30-06. that bullet was, and it stopped in his fucking, it didn't exit his body. So what does it say there? If you're not going to, here, let's see what she says here.
If you have the truth and you don't believe the truth, I don't know what to tell you.
I don't know what to tell you. If you have the truth and you don't believe the truth, I don't know what to tell you. Fuck you. Get off my channel. Right?
But yet people don't believe. People don't trust anything that they're seeing. I've been blown away by people who come up to me and say, hey, I know you interviewed Charlie, but we're not getting the right story. Well, what do you mean you're not getting the right story? Well, you know that gun couldn't have done this, or he couldn't have been there, or something happened in the middle. I had somebody come up to me and say someone popped out of a manhole cover and shot him directly, and that manhole cover's been covered up. I go, I've never heard of a crazier thing, and they thought I was crazy for even questioning them.
So this is where they're telling you you're crazy. It's always a mistake. Like, this is the fucking majority of these people that are right-wing fucking people. They don't trust the government. They don't trust the official story. They don't trust this bitch right here, right? Most of them. And whoever this fucking clown is. And telling you all crazy conspiracy theorists, this is the wrong fucking path to go, brah.
I mean, you must be getting this. It's the conspiracy theory.
I have heard all of them. And thank God we have a trial coming up. Unfortunately, that trial is in a long time. What I want to be mindful of for people is that this was a murder.
The trial is not going to convince anybody of anything, especially in some fucking backwards ass state like Utah. I lived in Utah, love it, but some weird shit's going on there. I'm not even talking about the religion there and all that other stuff. But there's some corruption going on, and there's a reason they did it in Utah, right? There's a reason why they, it's just like with Erika Kirk being compromised. There's a reason they did it with Utah. She's a plant. She's like a fucking, she's one of these FBI trained. Obama, some guy did a long piece, one of these investigative reporters who, he put out this old school truther. And he was one, I can't remember which guy it was, but there was these various guys. He used to go on the Alex Jones show before he was a piece of shit, right? And, he did all this research on Obama being a CIA plant, not a Muslim, not any of these things. But his grandmother, according to this guy, right? I think his name was William Madsen or something like that. And, some of these guys used to have newsletters, right? These were people who were old school kind of truthers, investigative reporters. And they were in Hawaii, and we know from the Snowden investigation, the Snowden movie, that Snowden was in Hawaii when he stole all that intel, because Hawaii is one of the biggest CIA hubs. I mean, it's one of these places where they have all these intelligence community people. And it's got a lot of other stuff going on there, because it's fucking Hawaii, and, why not, right? If you have the means to do that. And his grandmother worked for a bank that was a CIA bank. And then there was all these other things. And, when we went to Indonesia, there was this idea that he was going to be the CIA asset. And he had many things. There's many ways it could have gone with Obama. Like, he could have been an ambassador. He had he could have, he had connections to different places in Africa and in Indonesia and these things. And so he was like one of these CIA assets from a very young age. And Erika Kirk seems like one of those people. They groom these people for a very long time. And she's just here to push some bullshit official story.
It's not something that, what I don't want to have happen is for this to taint the jury pool.
You can't fucking say that after you've already said he did it. You're saying you've seen the evidence and he's guilty. So every person in Utah that's a fan of yours and loves Charlie, hears his wife say that, fucking his widow say that she's seen the evidence and he's guilty. You've tainted that person, a jury person. And so what the fuck you're talking about? You guys, Trump said that the guy should be executed. You guys have already fucking done that by saying over and over again this evidence that, we don't see any of it that's convincing. And there's every reason to doubt the government. And for you to come out and say, anything that we say that we have our doubts, that should be silenced. But you guys saying over and over again that he's the murderer when he hasn't been convicted yet in a trial that isn't going to prove anything to anybody, and you've lost your fucking audience in the interim. Jesus Christ, and that, all the people who are familiar with these types of caliber bullets know that fucking bullet did not stop that 30-06 bullet. Like, there are any number of things that are in there, right? So Jesus Christ, this is their excuse they use to shut things down. And of course she does, because she sucks. Like, this is not.
I don't. I want justice for my husband more than any other person on the internet. Any other person in this world. That was my husband and the father to my kids.
Okay, she's getting cry here. This is a shot at Candace Owen. I want justice more than anybody. Yeah, are you? Like, do you? Because, like, it comes between choosing your words over evidence that doesn't exist and believing the official story. Like, you're fucked, bitch, right?
We'll make sure, and we have been, turning over every single stone, going down every single lead. So when these people say...
What do you mean you've been doing that? Who are you talking about?
Oh, they haven't talked about this or done that. How do you know? You're not in those meetings with the attorneys and the prosecutors. You have no idea. And why would we share that information with the internet?
Wait, they've already dropped a bunch of the information, and they dropped the name of the guy, right? And they said this is the guy, and they're convicting him, and they're fucking his lover and the furry stuff. They released his love letters that turned out to be kind of bogus, and the guy at Discord said that he never posted anything at Discord, and Trump attacked Discord because they said that guy the CEO was lying. All that shit that was released. I mean, this guy's the prototypical patsy, and you guys have released all this information, making the guy look guilty, or at least the stuff that you think will make him look guilty. But it's very, very suspect. It's very sus, and you're fucking doing this, right? You're saying that that like you respect the legal process after you've already fucking. You've skewed any chance this guy would ever have a fair trial?
To what? Then give the defense more stuff that's not true? Like, it's just, at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, the truth is the truth.
And this book is fantastic. I really encourage everyone to get it. Stop in the name of God by honoring this.
At the end of the day, the truth is the truth. She got very animated there. She wasn't fucking doing her crying. She's getting very vicious about it. But you ain't convincing anybody. You have no idea what the internet's about. You have no idea about your audience. And you're not convincing anybody. You're going to have to ask these questions. Why not bring fucking Candace Owens on and talk about the caliber of the bullet and these things? And then you're going to shut all that shit down? You're fucked, right? No one's buying your fucking bullshit. Okay, so that's it. No tears here. She got a little bit teary there to get a little bit victim consciousness. But he takes off and he brings somebody else in. I think that's all the interviews. That's all the ones I'm going to cover, unless there's some kind of big Snotrag revelation on one of these other ones. She's promoting this shit book, and she's hammering her audience and telling them they're all full of shit, and that's just the wrong way to go. So, see ya, Erika. Okay, so it's 9:35 at night. I'm gonna get this video probably out by 10 o'clock tonight. It usually would have been, this whatever. There wasn't supposed to be a video up till tomorrow. You get the idea. But there's been bombshell revelations. Candace goes all in on Erika Kirk. There's another whole interview I didn't see. But look at this thing here. I just noticed it. So I got these two more clips to put on the end. I got two voiceovers here, short ones. But look what it says here. Stop God. Like, you don't see the middle line, right? I mean, it's high. I can't read it from here. But, in terms of this... the book cover, the two biggest words are stop God, right? And he's got his hand up with a stop on it and God underneath it. So you could, he's holding his hand like, stop. But, the middle line is, not really readable. It's in parrot, right? So that's fucked, right? He's basically saying stop God, which, devil worshiping motherfuckers, right? All right, let's go to the next thing here. I want to add just a little bit of something here, and I might get into some comments, depending on, what comments are available. But Erika Kirk, saying that stuff about how she doesn't want to read her husband's last couple pages, she said it in at least 2 of the 3 interviews, and maybe all 3 of them, right? And so and maybe, I think I had heard this before. I think she said originally when she went on that one guy's show. So she's gone all over the place and she's whoring that, that personal statement out, right? Like it's, I could understand that. Like, that's a real thing. Like if you were, it's like saying goodbye to him again, right? Like that would be a real grieving thing to do. I said something similar about when I was able to recover the preceptor books. We had these preceptor books. And I said, I was kind of savoring them. I didn't want to, I have the second and the third preceptor training books that, I lost in the divorce, so to speak. And I never was able to get my preceptor books back. And then, I started doing these sittings. And, they were so special to me. I read these books and listened to them on audio tape, like probably over 100 times. And not exaggerating. I mean, I listened to them on a long commute I had. And so, these were things that I was, I don't know, I don't want to say precious, but sacred to me in some way. And then when I was able to get the books through like some bookseller, right, I found them. I was looking for them forever. And when I found the books, I started reading the second book again, and now it's been 20 years or so since I've read it, 10, 15 years. And, it was like reading it anew. So many things had happened. And, it was like the only time I'm going to be able to do that, right? And, I could understand that with something as personal as like Charlie Kirk's, your dead husband's book. But the more you say it into public, like you don't have to say it at all. Like it's always so performative with this bitch, right? Like she's always saying things that are, it's meant to like show how much she's grieving, and, she does this over and over again. And the more you say it on every show, it's like it just cheapens it, right? Like it cheapens your grief. The more that your grief is public and on display for everybody, the more it's performative. I mean, that cheapens it a lot. Like that means it's not even real, right? Because it's not real grief if you're performing. If you're acting, right? When a good actress or a good actress or actor is grieving their fictional character on a show or a movie, and they really make you feel like they're so good at it that you feel their grief, even though it's not real. If it's acted really well, and you see, old Yeller dies or something like that, right? Bambi or, the Yearling or whatever those movies were. These Disney movies were filled with dead animals, right? Like the old Yeller, if you ever seen this movie called Old Yeller on Disney. It was a Disney movie where they had to shoot the dog and he got rabies, and then they had to shoot the Yearling. It was a deer that kept on eating the crops, right? These things. Pets, And so, anyways. So I just wanted to add that I'm going to, the video's not going to be up till Friday. Today's Wednesday, so I got all day tomorrow to edit this and, add some more things to it. But I wanted to do this one while it was fresh in my mind. Anyways, everything she does is cheap and performative. And so it just, it makes it like, it's the same thing with Candace Owens now with all of her weird shit that she goes down. And it's just, it's very manipulative and it's very, attention seeking and all these other things. All right, that's enough for now here. Okay, just finished dinner and got a few minutes here. So I want to add something to what I said about Erika Kirk and her going after conspiracy theorists and these people who are questioning the official story. And so, and then I just looked at my phone and, Erika Kirk goes off on conspiracy theorists, and then Candace Owens, her picture of the thing says, let me hear, I got to pull it up. It just started to run on my phone here. Says, I think they're talking about me. And again, me. So I'll cover her reaction either tomorrow or my next video, or I'll probably do it here. And so I just want to say this one thing about this thing with Erika Kirk. Your audience that you have, there is different types of audience, different levels of maturity, and the kind of audience that you have when you have a massive audience of millions of people, and they're very fragile. Like the left wing people are very fragile. the kind of people that you would get if you have a massive audience. And these right-wing Christian people are very fragile. And they're very belief-oriented, especially the ones that they've been pandering to. And so if you have an audience like that, you have to pander to their beliefs. They'll turn on you in a moment's notice, like most of them. Like maybe some of them are a little bit more mature, a little bit more whatever they are. But not these guys. They'll turn on you in a second. You know, and I talked about this. When you get too big, when you have so much of an overhead, like when you make big blockbuster movies, you got to bring in, billions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars, right? And because you have these huge studios and you have a lot of employees, you'll have overhead. And all these channels that have that, you are usually anticipating growing. Like they thought they were going to get more and more people, and Charlie was already seeing shrinkage. He was getting less money from the Israeli donors, from the Zionist donors, and he was losing right-wing Republican people because of Trump's failure on Epstein and his, they were all turning against Israel. And so they're already shrinking before Charlie died, and now they're shrinking even more. So, as her job is, and their job is to keep those people who are now 95% against them and 95% on Candace's side, or at least they share the same beliefs of what happened, even if they don't like Candace. And so, that's the situation they've created for themselves. And to call those people crazy conspiracy theorists because they don't have access to the information that you have, and that you love Charlie so much more that we should all just trust in your love for him, even though you were pretty much an enigma. You were out there a little bit, but you weren't connecting with people. You didn't have a huge fan base. You were just Charlie's wife. And you expect everyone, especially people who don't give a shit about Charlie or all this, whatever's going on, to believe somebody who started making videos, 24, but within 24 hours of her husband being killed, fake crying and, clout chasing and all this shit that she was doing and all the performative bullshit. And you expect us to believe that you cared at all when you can't even grieve correctly. Your grieving is like embarrassing. So, for her to come out with this stance, it's obviously something where she's saying fuck you to her fans, right? Like she's just saying it's a big fuck you to her fans. And she's also stuffing snot rags in the couch. And so I would assume that the gloves will come off with Candace now that she's called Candace out and all this other bullshit, right? And Candace said in the beginning, if Erika calls her and says, I want you to stop doing this, again, I don't know how sincere Candace was and whether she was just baiting Erika. I don't think they ever liked each other or knew each other. And so it's great. And then, we're only, next Monday's the day they're going to drop this whole thing that they're going to tell everyone how stupid they are and how wrong they are and present all the evidence that no one's going to buy. And, I should have checked this comment section on those different videos. Maybe I'll go back and do that. But I'm sure she's getting rolled up. And, 3 months is a long time for a grieving widow to get a free pass on the internet, the savage internet. So, anyways, I'll check out Candace's thing when I get a chance tomorrow, and I'll probably add her response here if it's short enough for me to do so. All right, so that's all for now. Okay, greetings, brothers and sisters. There was another video, not greetings. It's late at night, it's around 8 o'clock or so. What is it? 7:48. So I realized that I got another number of comments coming in about all this. And Candace Owens put up a response. So I got to strike while the iron's hot. I'm going to skip over the video I was going to have you. I've already said this at the beginning of the video. So, but here is the beginning of Candace Owens' response here.
Okay, you guys. Now, I wasn't sure about Erika. I was waiting, kind of a situation for her to be in, obviously, having lost her husband, becoming the CEO and the chairman of a company. It's just a lot of transition, and it's nice to wait for more information before you...
You had this all going. Like, this is just lying. She knew she was a piece of shit. We all did, right? She knew she was fake. She's going to go after her video. Her first... Well, let's just move forward here. So, she did this interview with Harris Faulkner, and I didn't see this video. So, this was one I would have probably the most important one. I mean, they all had something to talk about, but here.
Of that, and at first, Harris Faulkner is asking about that claim. Take a listen.
Talk to me about this part of the conspiracies that are out there, this disturbing part that people are trying to guess where Charlie is.
Can I have one thing? Can I have one thing?
Wow, that's where you're going with this?
Can my children have one thing? Everything was public. We will be building the most...
Oh, wait. Okay. So you made everything public, right? You chose to make everything public. Like, you were out day one, which she's going to point out. And this was my first reaction, the obvious one. You were out day one making videos over his casket and putting it up on Instagram. Like, you made everything public. You made that gaudy fucking funeral and all these things. You make it sound like everybody demanded that. No one demanded that. You wanted to cash in as much as possible. And Candace Owens, she's looking pretty fucking hateful right here. Candace Owens said they made $140 million. So that's fucking crazy money, right? You wanted that martyr money. You wanted that fucking dead husband money. Like, you didn't have to come out the first day. You didn't have to come out any day. Nobody demanded. Nobody would have thought you had to do that. You wanted to be CEO of the company. You wanted to immediately take over. You made all those fucking choices. And you're making it sound like you're being demanded. These things are being demanded of you. And so nobody really knows where he's buried because you've made it secret, like that bullshit, right? Like, so you and your kids can have one thing. Can we have one thing? You could have had all of it. You could have had complete privacy. You wouldn't have to do any of that shit, but you wanted the money, right? You got $2.5 million in GoFundMe money. You're the richest fucking single mom. I would assume the richest single mom, and probably the most famous. There's all these single moms that are struggling, lost their husbands. Some of them lost their husbands to war, or, military or something. Some of them, never had husbands in the first place. They're struggling every day. Don't have enough food to feed their kids. I've seen lots of these kids who grew up in that situation and moms. Your kids are getting gifts sent to them every fucking day. You've put all this shit out there by your fucking choice. You didn't have to do one thing. Nobody demanded it of you. Nobody said, hey, go make an Instagram video the first day. So, I mean, maybe people at TPUS Gay told you to do that, to strike while the iron's hot, but you got all this money. You got all this martyr money for Charlie Kirk, so go fuck yourself, right? Don't play the victim. Let's watch that shit again.
My children have one thing. Everything was public. We will be building the most beautiful memorial for my husband at Turning Point USA, and it will be for the world to see, and it will be spectacular, and it will have basically museum style for our Charlie, for my Charlie. But can I have one thing?
Can I have one thing? Can I have one thing?
My babies have one thing where we hold it sacred, where my husband is laid to rest, where I don't have to be worried about some secular revolutionary coming and destroying my husband's grave while my daughter is sitting there praying.
Oh, you poor baby. Oh, you poor little baby.
One thing. This is my husband. Yes, he was Charlie Kirk to the world, and I know so many people love my husband, and I am grateful for that. But this is my husband, and I want to be able to have one thing left that is sacred to our family, to my in-laws, to my babies, and to my parents. One thing.
Okay. The other thing about this is, part of it is whatever people wanted to mourn him or whatever that is. And, you did it like that gaudy public bullshit thing that you did. And so many other fucking horrible shit. Oh, so many fake crying events. And, for her to get all angry and outraged, that's whatever it is. But there are a number of people who don't believe Charlie Kirk's dead. And some of those were TPUS Gay donors. Some people think it looks fake. Some people think it's a holograph, whatever it is. Hologram. One of those two. And, that's why they're wondering, where's Charlie Kirk buried? He didn't really have a real funeral. He had that fake fucking funeral with sparklers and all that gaudy shit. I mean, it was just embarrassing what you did, right? But to whine like you're somehow a victim when you made all of those choices. You made choices to give a speech 3 days after he was buried and put that fucking bullshit, those Hallmark card lines, like the line where you said, the cries of this grieving widow will be heard throughout the world. And you were the one who wanted to make Charlie's vision bigger than ever right out the gate. And you got all that fucking money. You got as much shekels as you could. And a fucking organization that's fleeced money out of, hardworking people. And, all the failure of Trump and all the failure of you and this bullshit, right? Anyways, here's her response.
Okay, so on its face, I actually agree with that. I think that when people are being buried and where they're being buried.
Buried? What the fuck? What accent is that? What do you mean buried?
And how their funerals are done, that is a very private matter, okay? So objectively, I agree with what she's...
Everything's a private matter. I mean, you don't have to do it. Like, no one expects you to do that publicly. No one expects you to go up and give a speech when your husband was just shot in the fucking throat and on live television. I mean, no one expects any of that shit, right?
Saying, okay? But subjectively, because we are dealing with the subject of Erika Kirk and what transpired immediately following Charlie's assassination, this is going to be read as Meghan Markle syndrome, okay? Meghan Markle syndrome, where you want privacy when you want it, but you want publicity whenever you want it, and that just doesn't work, okay? It doesn't work that way. I honestly think it was said best by Bethany Frankel, not related to this situation. Bethany Frankel is on Real Housewives, a reality show. And she was referring to one of the housewives who lived her life very publicly, showcased her marriage, was buying tons of Louis Vuitton bags when they had tons of money. And then when their relationship soured, the housewife basically asked the public for privacy. And Bethany was like, no, this isn't how it works. Like, we were riding with you on the way up, we're riding with you on the way out. You don't get to like pick and choose when you want privacy and when you don't want privacy. And subjectively, as it, in the matter of Erika Kirk, this is the same person who had somebody record her over Charlie Kirk's casket. That was not our business, truly. And I can say that decision was made by her. And there is, some credence to the claim that everybody grieves differently. I wouldn't even record myself over a casket ever, okay? Some people...
Finally coming out. Like, finally you're saying this, right? She's been holding her tongue for whatever reason, but I knew she didn't like this bitch. They've been going at it in like little snide little desperate housewives, Real Housewives kind of a way, right?
People maybe perhaps want to have that memory, but the decision to publish that, you crying over your husband's casket, and to publish his dead body on Instagram was a decision that was made by Erika, and we can watch that. Take a look.
Oh, I love you. I love you. I love you. I know. I love you. I love you.
Here's the problem. Lots of people reacted poorly to this. Candace is finally getting around to it, whatever her reasoning is. She has different circles. But this all comes down to likability, right? Now, I don't think men like this woman. I think men find this woman difficult to bear. I haven't heard of men defending her, right? I haven't heard men saying, there might be some men who think she's really grieving or, they like her for one reason or another, but she seems a little fucking crazy and off-putting. And so it comes down to women, right? So this is also, women are more emotional and can sympathize with a grieving widow. And I don't think women like this kind of woman. I think women find this woman fake and, especially the ones that are more vocal. And so by getting up there and getting angry and saying, can I have this one thing? They've given her, some people have given her grace for, the 3 months her husband's been dead. But now, it's open season. Her and Candace are now openly going after it. She's lost 95% of her viewers, and people think that they got scammed out of their money, and they think this woman, what I said all along, the biggest point, which Candace won't say, if there was a conspiracy, they had to have Erika. Like, if they were going to kill Charlie Kirk, for Erika to go along with the Patsy narrative, which she is going along with, she has to be, whatever it is, an operative or whatever, she is, she has to sign off on that. She has to sign off on lying about who killed her husband, knowing who killed her husband, and then selling out this poor little Patsy and getting fucking outraged about it because she, they couldn't have her do what Candace Owens is doing. That would blow up the whole thing, and I mean, that would cause catastrophic damage to everybody. Like this, they couldn't have her. Like that's the one person they can't have say all these things, right? Turn and say, no, I don't believe in any of this, because the whole case would blow up if the wife says, hey, this is bullshit, and you have a big ass organization and all these truthers and people out there on the internet, and they're all this data, that investigation blows up, and then they have to go in and find out who really did it. If she knows who really did it, then that's even worse, right? So they had to have her. But in terms of this business, she has to be likable. She has to pander to her fans, and she hasn't done that. And to get outraged, when she starts going after fans who already don't like her, right? All she was Charlie's wife.
God bless you.
That was so fucking greasy. I mean, it's just, this is like the day of her husband being murdered, and it just feels so fake and so disingenuous and so hard to watch. His hands are so fucking weird. It looks like a mannequin's hands.
That is an incredibly personal and an incredibly intimate moment that you
Yeah, fuck you, Candace. It was fake as fuck.
Invited the public into. Okay, there was no reason to do that outside of wanting to share something that was very private with the public.
No, she wanted to get that fucking martyr money going, right? She was going to give a speech in 2 days, and they were going to hit the ground running, right? Big events, they rolled this thing out as much as they could. You're going to talk about the money they made, and so that was a choice. The only reason to do this is for the business, right? To keep the business going, to make as much money as possible, to cash in while the iron's hot, because a week after Charlie was dead, news stopped covering this. Most of the news wasn't even covering it anymore. 2 weeks, it was already a distant memory. So she had to do numerous things to get the news to cover it. If she didn't do speeches and she didn't do that gaudy fucking funeral, or whatever the fuck they're calling it with Trump, it would have been all but forgotten. And even then, she wasn't get that many views. They're already losing viewership, right? And they got a lot of money. She got $2.5 million just personal GoFundMe money that she got from, all these donors. And then they got, $140 million according to Candace. And then whatever it is, it was a fucking, they hit a huge amount of money. But now they got a piece of shit show no one likes, a owner, the boss that no one likes. And they've turned on their audience, and their audience has turned on them, right? And that's all fucking of their own doing. But, they struck while the iron was hot, right?
And now you fast forward 3 months removed.
I mean, it's just like I'm saying with this video, right? I have a good video that was going to go up tomorrow, very funny video. Happy with the video. And now I have to go and put this one up first because of, you got to strike when the iron's hot, right? In a day, people don't care about this bullshit thing, right? 2 days, they've already moved on. They've already seen it, right? So you have to, this is how the internet works, right?
And it's why does the public want to know where he's buried? It doesn't work like that.
Where he's buried?
You have to make a decision. I want this always to be private, or I want this always to be public. That's my personal feedback there. Later on in this same interview, she launches into a strong defense of Turning Point USA employees who have, just as a matter of fact, told many lies, many inconsistencies. These are verifiable. So they are currently lying to the public, or they have lied to the public, but she is going to deliver quite an impassioned defense regarding these particular individuals and the organization as a whole. And I want you to hear her passion. Take a listen.
What are they taking from you right now?
Nothing. But I will tell you what they are doing. It reminds me so much of chapter 6 in the book of Nehemiah.
Okay, so, you see that I've shown you the 4 other interviews. In each of the interviews, they had a different tone. The Fox and Friends in the morning, that had a different tone. The 5, that had a different tone. Hannity had a different tone. She's not crying. Now she's the angry, hockey mom or whatever, desert mom, this whole thing that she's doing, right? mama bear, like she's all in there. I'm protective, and I'm wearing red, and I'm coming in fucking hot, and these things. So I'm going to go back and watch this interview. It'll be 2 videos from this one, the next one that I've already put up, and then I'll do another one the following day, with which the one that'll go up at night on Saturday or whatever it is. But she's like all fired up, she's ready to go, and she's coming in after him. But the majority of people already, she's lost them, and the only thing she had was they felt bad for her, or they felt like they couldn't say anything because she's a grieving widow. She's not wearing black anymore. She came in wearing different outfits now. The grieving period's over, and she's coming out as CEO, and she sucks at it, right? She's failing. She's unlikable, so she's not she's not gonna drive viewership. She's just Charlie's widow. People who like Charlie don't like her or whatever it is. She can't replace him. The plays there can't replace him, and they don't believe in her, the official story. They look at her as being somebody who's working with the so-called elite to, silence the truth about her husband's death, and she's the worst person, right? Like if she's on board if she's been compromised, which she has to be, then she's the worst person, right? Like they have to get her. Like I said, there's no logical explanation if the official story is not true, and that means somebody else killed him. They have to get her and make sure she'll sign off on the official story. And so what did it took? Money? What did it take for her to go along with it? Whatever it was, she's fucked. She's a nightmare person, right?
He is building a wall, and the townspeople are at the base of that hill saying, Nehemiah, calling him all these names, saying all these things, come on down. Every single time he had the same message 4 times in a row. I cannot come down. I am busy building. That is how I feel. I do not have time to address the noise. My silence does not mean that I am complacent. Mm-hmm. My silence does not.
The thing is that it's just, again, she's all angry and she's all like, whatever it is. She has thin skin. And the problem with that is their message is always the same. The message is, hey, you guys are full of shit. Hey, you guys are crazy conspiracy theorists. I mean, they're all going this way. Fox News, they're going to lose on this too, right? They've built their whole fucking model now around truthers and conspiracy theorists and QBs and things. They pander to these people during the election. They pander to these people when they're, the Epstein people and the rest of it. And now they're all like, fuck you. Fuck you guys. You guys are all crazy. Why you guys want this information? It's going to hurt real people. Trump is saying that. It's going to hurt real people. The victims, fuck the victims, but it's going to hurt real people because Trump is an elitist, and all these people, who thought these guys were on their side are being turned on. Turning Point fans, all of them, like all these right-wing Republicans who didn't trust the government, didn't trust the official story, are now being called crazy conspiracy theorists that the people, after they took their money and took their support, right? And she's saying, fuck you to you guys, right? That's what they're saying, like over and over again. She's not going to, she doesn't even acknowledge when they say that your position is crazy, that means that they have to shut it down at any cost because they can't address the reasonable claims, right? Okay, the airplanes, sure, that's fucked. But, what about the caliber of bullet? Or what about any of these other things that are reasonable? Well, we can't address those. Those are, you guys are crazy conspiracy theorists. And to come out here with anger and all this shit, like, they already dislike her. Like, they already hate her. You can tell people don't like her.
Mean that somehow Turning Point USA and all of the handpicked staff that loved my husband and my husband loved them is somehow in on it. We are busy building. And you know what I thought?
You're busy what? You're busy fucking destroying your reputation? You're building for an audience of none. Like, no one gives a shit about Charlie Kirk in 2 years. They didn't really care. They didn't love him like that. They didn't see him as a saint. Whatever. They're not going to memorialize the guy. They're not going to fucking care about him. And you've lost the momentum. Like, you lost the fucking... people aren't tuning into your show anymore. And the more that you do this, the more you bury yourself. Yeah, you go ahead, build the fucking memorial. Build more fucking buildings based in Zionist propaganda. People aren't coming back to you. They weren't coming back to you already because people had turned on the, Israel and Charlie's shilling, Charlie Shekel's shilling for that. And they don't like Trump. They don't have any excitement, enthusiasm for Trump anymore. They're not going to want 47 hats. No one's wearing 47 hats now, right? only dumb fucks, just the remaining dumb fucks. I mean, the really dumb fucks, right? Like, everyone's late to the fucking party, right? It's all that stuff's past, right? It's, the enthusiasm for Trump and Turning Point USA is gone. US Gay is gone. And now he's just a bunch of unlikable people. What the fuck are you building? I mean, you're destroying you're an influencer organization. You're connecting to people via the internet. You're getting ratioed in your comment section. You're getting 90% of the comments are like, you guys suck, fuck you. And so you're not concerned about that? Like, what the fuck are you building?
These people are human. We are all grieving in our own way. And they are trying to find the answer to something that happened that was so evil. They are trying so hard. And I get that. We're doing the same. Anytime we hear a lead or anytime we hear anything, we send it to the authorities. Please dig into this. No rock will be unturned. I want justice for my husband, for myself, for my family, more than anyone else out there. So for me, you want to keep telling me to come down while we're building? I don't have time for that. But here's my breaking point on that. Come after me, call me names, I don't care.
You don't care. You can call me any names. Call me a whore, call me a cunt. I don't care. Call me a fake, fraud, grieving, Tammy Faye Baker. Call me all that shit.
Call me what you want. Go down that rabbit hole, whatever. But when you go after my family...
My twinks? You go after all my little twinks? all my little gay twinks on my show? That's enough.
My Turning Point USA family,
my Turning Point TPUS gay twinks?
Kirk Show family, when you go after the people that I love, and you're making hundreds and thousands of dollars every single episode going after the people that I love because somehow they're in on this, no.
No, okay. So I'm going to have to watch that. We'll watch a little bit more of Candace here and her reaction. But you get the idea. I'm going to have to go and watch the rest of it. Something just dropped there.
I'm sorry, but that whole thing right there is frustrating. And I'm going to explain to you why I just do not accept any of that. First and foremost, the idea that she does not have time. Okay, she definitely has time, okay? She's done Hannity, she's done The Five, she's done Fox and Friends, she's done Outnumbered, she's done Megyn Kelly Live, she sat down with the New York Times. She made time, by the way, in case you don't remember, to fly to D.C. for Sergio Gore to be sworn into the ambassador to...
Okay, so she goes into that thing, which we don't care about. We know she is here.
She has also made time for an upcoming CBS News town hall sit-down with Barry Weiss, which was filmed today.
As a Zionist shell.
So Erika Kirk has time. She has time. It is just what she means to say, not her priority, which is you are allowed to prioritize things in your own life. But this is not a matter of time constraint. It is not her priority to respond to the majority. Actually, the majority of people think of this as BS. The majority of people think Turning Point is acting suspicious. And she does not feel that it is what she wants to do as a matter of priority, responding. Okay.
The thing about it is when people know the official story is bullshit, like people know it, whatever way you know it, whatever, prejudice you have from other events that have happened, whatever reason you believe that the official story is bullshit. And this is people like Joe Rogan has called it out and, Tucker Carlson, all these people. Like nobody really believes these things, right? And so when you believe the official story is bullshit and the person who is supposed to be the most aggrieved, his loving wife, in air quotes, and she's got to come out and say to you guys, everything, she's a part of it, right? Like she's going to come out and say, like she's talking about the people that are involved in it as part of her team. This is also part of her family, part of her team. These guys are working hard to bring justice for Charlie Kirk, right? And so there's so much suspicious shit that happened, and that's not going back into the fucking box. So, the only thing that she could do is basically be, captive by her own group, where she's being handled and threatened by people within the organization that are, are like excluding information from her and rolling out there with limited information and getting her to say all these things. And she could only say, you know, like Trump does, I don't know. I don't know. You can ask that guy over there. I don't know anything about it. I don't know. But when she comes out and says, no, the official story's right and you guys are full of shit, you know, that's an answer they're never going to accept. We know this. Like, you know, the people who believe in truth or narratives, you can't say that shit to them. You can't say that shit to us, right? We're not going to believe that shit, right? Especially when it's so fake and it's so fraudulent. And you come out outraged and making it sound like we're some kind of bad people for not like wanting to be lied to, right? And it's not just, you're grouped in with all the other bullshit things that have happened. Now you're a part of that whole fucking systemic problem where you're lying to us about these things that are so obviously fake, right? And, you know, like she doesn't have, even when the trial happens, if she thinks she just come out here and act angry and win these people back, you're still unlikable, and so is all your co-hosts and these people. They're not believing you. And you've pissed everybody off now.
That's fine. Now, to that point that people are making hundreds and thousands of dollars, I just don't get how there's not someone on this very large PR team, as we're seeing these PR campaigns go out, that doesn't go, hey, maybe we should strike that. You know, like, you know, they made $40 million like 2 nights ago at Mar-a-Lago. Maybe that feels kind of a little bit like let them eat cake-ish. Oh, and we've made more than, separately from Mar-a-Lago, Turning Point USA, since Charlie was killed, just so you guys know, this is a fact, has made more than $100 million. That is separate from the $40 million they made at Mar-a-Lago the other night. So since Charlie has died, that
I didn't even know that the Mar-a-Lago thing happened.
Organization has taken in $140 million. But gosh darn you people that are making hundreds of dollars every day on YouTube talking about Charlie Kirk's assassination and the BS narrative that is being fed and the very obvious psychological operation that is.
Also, like, where she hides her snot rags. Like, I made $100 off of where Erika Kirk hides her snot rags. Like, you know, should I feel bad about that? Right.
Being employed to make you accept the BS that they are trying to sell to us. Gosh darn you. Did you make $1,000 today? Speaking about Charlie Kirk, well, you should be ashamed of yourself, says Turning Point USA, who in large part made that money because of those very people who gave to the organization immediately following.
Okay, so she's finally going after her. I'll eventually watch the rest of this thing tomorrow. I don't need to know. I don't probably have to cover anything else. She doesn't have any more clips here. But, you know, like Erika Kirk's and Turning Point USA's plan, or what they have to do, is to say anybody who believes in anything but the official story is full of shit, right? That's what she's doing. That's what she's saying has to be done. And so, you know, that's not a winning message, right? That's not a winning message. All right, I'm going to wrap this one up here. And like I said, I have the other video coming up. I mean, way ahead of the game. I have 2 completed videos, so I'll basically don't have to do anything tomorrow, but maybe plan the video, the final video, and maybe I'll watch that Harris Faulkner interview and some other things. Actually, she gets her here. This is bad.
Following Charlie Kirk's assassination. And the thing that is especially...
I forgot this part, and then I remembered it.
Absurd about that is trying to like almost like, I want to be clear that Turning Point USA is my family. The Charlie Kirk show is my family. You know, like she's just expanding the wings of people that we're not allowed to critique because they're in the family. If you call them fam, you can't critique them, right? Oh, I'm sorry. We actually are showing a clip of Rob McCoy defending a pedophile or trying to like launder the reputation of that's fam. That's the CK show fam. Oh, I'm sorry. We are actually pointing to the fact that we know for certain that this person or organization is a sexual deviant. That's fam. That is my, don't you get me upset. I know that this is a now $150 million in the last 3-month organization and we employ tons of people, but you can't critique. You can't critique the fam. And I hate to say this, but I'm going to be very clear here. This is why there are many people who do not believe that women are equipped to lead companies because...
Fuck. Here it is.
What you are watching here is an unbelievably emotional response that is absent of any logic, okay?
Oh, she went there.
If you really care about your team, answer the questions, okay? Just demystify the entire event. Answer, come out, sit down, answer the questions so people don't think Turning Point USA looks so suspicious. Don't try to like mom the organization and say, well, mother's upset because people are coming after her kids and all of this multi-million-dollar subsidiaries. That's my children, okay? The multi-million-dollar subsidiaries, Turning Point, like Turning Point Action, all that, those are my kids, so you can't critique them. Not a good idea, okay? It may work in PR world. You guys, I know how it's an obvious PR campaign. It's never been more obvious of a psychological operation. I actually wish they would put me on payroll so I could help them make these things look more organic than having every single person that has been telling us to stop asking questions all make the exact same video within 4 seconds of each other being like, whoa, Erika Kirk shuts down the No, she didn't even respond to one of the conspiracies. She gave us emotion. She gave us emotion. She said, I'm a mother, I am a wife, and we never asked about whether she was mother or wife. We want to know if she is a CEO and a chairman. And a CEO and a chairman has to compartmentalize.
So she's going after, like, this is, Erika Kirk's, compromised, right? I mean, what I'm saying is way worse, but this is really insulting, right? Like, this is just like, you can't run your husband's company. You're all emotional. You're a woman. You can't take over this company. You're unqualified. I mean, this is, it's really a kind of a kick to the you-know-wheres.
A CEO and a chairman cannot respond to valid questions and critiques about finances, about shady actions that are being taken by people that require presidential pardons, people that are meaningfully asking why we are not getting a clear answer of what took place on September 10th. A CEO, okay, does not get to respond and say, that's my family. Okay, that's my...
Oh, fuck.
That's the energy of what I would expect from a mother speaking to a teacher, which I was this mom. Like, that's my kid, okay? And I'll shut this down right now. That's my child. This is not a child. Turning Point USA is an organization, and Erika already had an uphill battle to climb. Like, that she had to climb this because, by the way, just because if this was Goldman Sachs, and the president of Goldman Sachs or a managing director over at Goldman Sachs died in a horrifically violent way, the Goldman Sachs family might mourn for a couple of months, but they would have instantly had someone to replace that individual. And beyond that, they would have never accepted the public and the people that are investing money. They would have never accepted, well, he's gone, but here's his wife. She already had a hill to climb here, right? Like, this does not make you qualified because you love someone to take on their job. I am not qualified to do what my husband does. That's why I said...
Okay, so I said all that stuff before. It's not like, most really successful couples, they both are good at different things, right? People think that, opposites attract, and one of the reasons is it's good when you have skills that the other person doesn't have. And oftentimes, sometimes people meet at work and they do the same thing. But Erika Kirk didn't do the same thing as Charlie Kirk. And he wasn't in some ways running this company because he didn't even know what the fuck was going on, right? He was just taking shekels, right? So you get the idea, but she really just fucking kneecapped her. She went after the fucking, but this is why women don't get to run companies because they're too fucking emotional, right? She went after that shit, right? But either way, they have all that fucking money. Nothing's going to happen other than Turning Point doesn't have an audience, right? And so if that kills them, that kills them. But other than that, if they're still getting fucking money laundering money or whatever else they're getting, that doesn't really matter. But this was like sort of this part going into Monday where Erika Kirk's going to go after Candace and, on her show by herself, then Candace is going to respond. Like, this is where this is going to be the definitive battle, right? This is the Thrilla in Manila, and we'll see what happens with it. But, I think it's already lost. Like, Erika Kirk's unlikable, and so are her people, her fam, her staff there. And, whatever they're doing there, they're not going to be held accountable. Whatever money they're taking, whatever improprieties they're doing, they're not going to be taken down because these people are all involved, Trump and the rest of them, in the whole Charlie Kirk assassination. So, but everyone's going to kind of know, right? The majority of people are going to kind of know, and then, Turning Point will just fade away. But we'll see, this is a 2-week thing, and then we'll see when the dust settles what happens. Anyways, I want to finish this up here. Only spirituality will save this world. It's paramount, definitely point for the apocalypse and the ascension. Everyone have a blessed day and be grateful.
I wouldn't want to be this